And now we wait. Are we good? Are we good? Are we live? Is it working? Is my mic going? Can you hear me okay? My tea is really hot. All right. Well, okay. I wanna start by making a small confession, which is I've only watched the live stream and the trailers and everything else once, and I watched them today, like a couple hours ago. So there's still a surprising amount that I think's really interesting that I want to talk about. But I haven't obviously gone frame by frame on this or anything, or any of the trailers. Which is, honestly, that's probably a good thing. There's no need to go frame by frame. But hi, how is everybody? How's your holiday season? This is like one of the rare years where Hanukkah and Christmas like coincided, right? Like the first day of Hanukkah was on Christmas Day or something. That's pretty fun. Hello. Yay, there we go. Okay, my chat's a little bit behind. That's okay. That's okay. How am I enjoying the holidays? I'm enjoying them pretty well. It's I was I broke my door handle on Christmas Day, so I guess I've been fixing things. Your bingo has only one box, and that is if you mention Deshret. We're gonna mention Deshret. We can start with that if you want to. Why am I always I'm not breaking stuff necessarily. It's like I live in a really old house. My house is almost 100 years old. So things are just bound to break. How did I break? So I'm gonna mute this and just kind of let it play, so you're not looking at a blank frozen screen. So it's not that. It's my storm door, which is kind of necessary where I live, where it's very cold. It has metal handles, but they're like pewter, and over time the pewter gets kind of brittle, and the handle just snapped right off. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So it's pretty old. Well, technically, this house was a cabin that was in the woods somewhere, and then someone picked it up and then moved it here, and then built a small addition onto it. So it's like part of the house is kind of new, but part of it isn't, and it's kind of anyway. It's not a big deal. Anyway, so as we kind of ease into things, there's one thing I want to do. Where do I live? I live up in New England, so it's cold. They moved the whole damn thing. Yeah, my house isn't that big, you guys. My whole house with the addition is 850 square feet. It's very small. It's a single floor house. So like without the addition, it would have been road legal for an oversized load permit. So they could have put it onto the... Have you ever seen those semis go down the road and they've got like that big oversized... whatever on the banner on the side of the house or building or whatever, like that is about the size of the original cabin. So no, not England, New England. I'm American. How long will the stream be? Oh, who knows? Not that I don't think we'll do too much today, because I want to try and stay focused, although we know how that goes. Where was the thing? Oh, I think it's this one. Yeah, I want to start with this one. A tree that judges dead people seems very Renova. Oh, are you talking for the lantern Rite thing? Yeah, okay, so thank you for your super, by the way. I kind of want to split this into two parts. I feel like we're gonna go back and forth a bit as you know, we're just gonna end up going back and forth a bit, but I kind of want to talk about the Archon quest and Mavuika stuff first, And then I want to swap over to Lantern Rite, mostly because I have less to say about Lantern Rite. And I think the Natlan stuff is a little bit more interesting. Did New England power creep England? I don't actually know. I don't know what the GDP of like New England compared to England is. That'd be really funny. I'm not really too up on the country versus US region PvP meta. Too much Lantern Rite, not enough Natlan. Yeah, that's why I kind of want to do it towards the end. So, okay. I'm gonna get focused now. I'm gonna get focused. Promise. We've had plenty of time for everyone to kind of funnel in, sort it in. Everyone can hear me okay. My dogs are chilled, except Levi still won't eat his meat. I'm just gonna leave it there. It's just gonna sit there and taunt both of them. They're just gonna stare at it for the next 2 hours you watch. Well, you can't watch because you can't see them, but you know what I mean. Verdian Fox, thanks for the super. Having a bad holiday season. My grandmother passed on my birthday, the 18th. I'm sorry for your loss. So I'm glad to be here and have something good to take your mind off it. Well, I will do my best as a distraction. I'm good at distractions. I'm pretty good at distractions. So let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, so the thing I want to start off with. You guys remember back in 4.8 when Simulanka came out? You guys remember that? And it was a while back. And I made a Natlan video where I was trying to prove what parts of Natlan were being referenced in Simulanka. And I thought I kind of came into Natlan with a swing and a bit of a miss. Like, I figured I probably got some core themes right and everything, but I thought I might have got a little too into the weeds. But I'm kind of glad I didn't get to do this on time because I was so busy working on videos, because Mavuika's teasers and trailers came out. And then they gave us this frog. And I was like, wait a second. That's a bit weird. Because one of the things I had put in my my predictions video was that we were going to see like Pharaoh Bear, you know, the frog from the Flying Princess and the Frog quest that we did with the forest, what is it? The Kingdom of Breezes and Bells, that one. So maybe I should I don't know if I should bring up my script or if I should bring up my video. Probably neither. I don't really want to go find it. I mean, I could. So the thing that I realized when I was looking at this is that in my script, I was pointing out how Pharaoh Bear was like a reference to like a glowing falcon and all that kind of stuff. And there were sun motifs all over Rainsong Pond and whatever. And they were all training to be heroes. They had this big old tournament going on, right? And then they've been doing that tournament in cycles for hundreds of years. And, you know, they've never had the instance where they had to go save the princess and fulfill their destiny or whatever. And I was linking that to the follow-up quest for Simulanka, which, if you don't remember, there was an unvoiced quest after you finished the main story, all of the main stuff in Simulanka, where Kaveh checked out a book from the library and then circled a couple of names in the book because they were misspelled, and then that kicked off like this whole thing. And then towards the end, you can talk to Dia, and she talks about how one of the characters was Al Amal, which was obviously a misspelling of Al Amar. And then I linked Pharaoh Bear to Deshret because there was this whole thing about how Al Amal actually leaped over a bridge in order to... Oh, I forget the exact part. I can go look it up, I suppose. So he leaped over a bridge, and I was like, well, you know, frogs in... I think it's Aztec and Mayan mythology tend to be this symbol of borders because they're amphibians. They live on both land and in the water. So they were always seen as kind of like gateways between those two realms of aquatic and non-aquatic life forms. But then also to the water itself was sort of associated with the afterlife. So frogs sort of became like this symbol of the borders between life and death. And how they could sort of openly cross between them. And I thought that was really interesting, the way that they kind of kept going back and forth and playing it off. So I put that in here. And I was like, well, I think for this reason, you know, like we're going to see this whole thing about the resurrection of the sun and whatever. And so now I'm looking at it from a little bit of a different perspective now that we see this frog being associated with Mavuika. We know that she can cross the borders between life and death, right? Because she can enter the sacred flame. She goes into the Night Kingdom. That's the realm of the dead. And then she comes back to the land of the living. So that made me realize that the Cave of Eerie Murmurs that Fairbear and Semest, that's the squirrel, went into in order to, you know, fulfill their destiny, that must be a representative of the Night Kingdom now. And in there are these piles of manuscripts, right? I just saw one thing in the chat, Zenless Zone Zero live stream. Towards the end, I'll talk about that. I'm going to join Azrael Vanity for a Zenless live stream over on his channel. I'll make an announcement about that when the time comes up. But anyway. So the Cave of Eerie Murmurs has these big stacks of manuscripts, and each manuscript is like a different hero from all the ages past, right? And they're sort of eroding over time. And I'm like, well, if it's a stack of manuscripts and each paper in the stack is a different story, then that's kind of like a YUB, isn't it? Because a YUB is sort of like this amalgamation of different people and heroes over time that are sort of fusing together in the Night Kingdom. And then the question became, well, if Fairbear then is supposed to represent Mavuika's role, who is Semest? And that one's kind of funny because, like, I actually think Semest might be Capitano, which sounds really funny. But here's the thing. The Forest of Breezes and Bells, like that whole kingdom, that Semest, I think that's the name of her kingdom, right? Her kingdom is very fischl coded. If you've ever started diving into the book Fischl, not the character Amy, but if you dive into like actual Fischl stuff, you'll start to realize that that forest is pretty Fischl coded. And she's trying to save her kingdom, right? And Capitano's not a princess officially. Or even royalty. But he did work together with the people of Natlan to try and protect their kingdoms and all that kind of stuff. And Fischl's kingdom is actually supposed to be Conria, if you start to read through The Legend of the Shattered Halberd, which is the sort of the prequel to all of the other Fischl books. That's supposed to be Conria. So that would make him like the representative from Conria that would join a representative from Natlan to go to the Cave of Eerie Murmurs, which is the Night Kingdom, and then break the cycle of destiny, which then puts the whole thing, how does the saying go that they kept repeating? It was like stories unfold in cyclical patterns. Something they should find their own endings. That wasn't exactly what it was, but it was something to that degree, right? And that's basically what we're looking at here, right? We're going to break a cycle of endless war. And I see you guys in Super, but let me finish. I'm gonna finish this first. There is something in here that I thought was really interesting because like the frog thing was like, oh, I accidentally got a swing and a hit. That's awesome. But I was watching, I don't actually know where this is in the live stream. So, forgive me for this because I'm not entirely sure where it is in the live stream. Maybe you guys will know. Stories follow rules unfolding in cyclical patterns, but each should follow its own course. Yeah, that one. And actually, if you even want to go take that one a step further, if you think of each manuscript as an ancient name, which is basically all of the stories of an individual hero or all the heroes who bore that name over time, right? You could also think of it as like, at some point, there will be one hero that sort of breaks the cycle of the name. Things like that. So, okay. The other thing that I had predicted in my video, my predictions video, so I'm going to jump back. The first thing I was pointing out was the whole Mesoamerican ball game and how it was used as a proxy for war. Like it was used to settle disputes and things like that. And obviously a lot of that came from the fact that the first Pyro Archon's name is Xabalanque, who is one of the hero twins, and they are strongly associated with the origins of the Mesoamerican ball game. Obviously, when we got to Natlan, it turns out to be an actual tournament of like combat. It's a combat tournament, right? Like it's not technically a proxy for war. It's an audition for war. However, somewhere in this live stream, and I forget where it is, because again, I only went through this once. And so my scrubby slide positioning memory thing is not very good for this. But somewhere in here, they talk about how the pilgrimage of the sacred flame has to take a different form after the Abyss War is completed. And I was like, oh, so maybe what ends up happening is that teaser that we got for Natlan way back when. Where's the Natlan teaser? I'm probably staring right at it. Actually, I think it's earlier than this. Because there's the Saurians. Where's the other one? Oh, this one. This one. Wait, no, not this one. Not that. This one. Oh my god. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I can see. So this one. Shush. I was actually thinking that this teaser might actually take place after 5.3. This isn't like a preview of what's to come. It's a well, it is a preview of what's to come, but it's like, this wasn't a preview of like 5.0. This was a preview of 5.3 plus. So I think what's going to happen is that the tournament or the combat tournament that are used as auditions to fight the Abyss is going to get replaced with a ball game tournament. So sports replace actual war, and in which case we get the ball game then acting as a proxy for war. Because in acting out a sports tournament, they're basically paying respects to their ancestors who gave all they could and fought, you know, so hard to protect their homeland. I think that's what we're gonna see. And again, I don't remember where they said it in the live stream, because I don't remember where it is. I'm sure we'll find it, but yes. Yes. The nation of sports theory becomes real. Right. Well, like, you go from, you know, real combat to, like, mock combat, which when you think about it, that's kind of what sports really were. Well, not really, but, like, a lot of sports are kind of mock combat when you think about it. Is it 155 of the trailer? Is it? I talk about her story quest on stream. I'm not. Oh, is it in the Lantern Rite trailer? I don't know where it is. Original football was basically a sports flavored riot. Wonder if she's watching from Chaska. Could be talking about Koichi. Yeah. Oh, I didn't think of that. I haven't watched this since then. Wait. That would be wild. That would be wild. Oh. Oh, are there a lot of ads? Oh, hold on. That's not good. I have it turned down to low. But YouTube's been awful with the ads lately. Goodness. So what about the ancient name of Shilenus's auntie? Now that she used her name for bad, what would happen to the story of the ancient name? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. Anyway, that was the thing I wanted to share before we started. Because I thought that was really cool. Because I really thought that my initial predictions was going to be more like, I got the gist of it. But I really did miss the mark with losing elemental powers. Although, if you consider elemental powers and memories to be interchangeable, they do lose memories because they have to spend them to fight the abyss. But you know, that's kind of a cheap cop out. I think that's funny. The quest with Shilin and the kidnapped girl, that wasn't an ancient name necessarily. I'm still not quite sure what the actual question here is. They talk about the pilgrimage purpose changing during Mavuika's side quest port. Oh, okay. Side quest. No, not side quest, story quest. So kind of like lacrosse. It's not like lacrosse. The Mayan ball game is different. Here's one variation. This is Poc to Poc. Basically, my understanding with Poc to Poc specifically is that you can't touch the ball with most parts of your body except for your hips. And so oftentimes they would wear these really thick bands on their hips because it was a very heavy, very dense rubber ball. And, you know, it would really hurt when it would hit you. So basically it's like hip ball. So they're trying to hit this ball with their hips until they can get it through the hoop. I think there's a lot, okay, but there's a lot of variations of this. Poc to Poc isn't the only one. There's like a lot of different ones. There's some where you can use your hands, there's some where you use sticks, there's some where you can only use your feet, there's some where you only use your hips. So there's a lot of variations, and it's very regional dependent, and so they don't really have like a universal set of rules or anything like that. Oh, actually, hold on. I remember when I was watching this, I did see there was a group of people. This one. Okay, this company here, Pi, even though they're promising ad blocking, I don't know if any of you know about this, but maybe don't look into them because they're put together by the same company that made honey, and honey has turned out to be a very massive scam, and I'm not willing to find out what the deal is this time with this thing. Anyway, so this is actually like a group of people who are trying to revive the ancient ball games, or at least keep the tradition alive. And they talk a lot in here about how they're doing that, how they're building their own leagues. Obviously, they're maintaining the body paint and all that kind of stuff. It was really, really good. Aldito, I'm not going to answer any more Zenless questions today, but like I said, I'm going to do a live stream with Azrael Vanity over on his channel. Or we're just going to spend like a couple hours talking about nothing but Zenless stuff. So I think it would be better if we talk about that over there instead. Anyway, highly recommend this. It's only like a 3-minute video, but it's really cool to watch them try and revive an ancient tradition in real time. That's really cool. And they're growing. I think this is really cool. Anyway, I'm gonna get distracted. Right. I have to. So the paint thingy is the Night Soul state. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't. Okay, this is where I actually just straight up don't know. I think there are people more qualified to comment on this than me. I don't know that this body paint is exclusive to the ball game. I feel like body paint and tattoos in general were likely, you know, that there were a lot of different purposes to them. So I don't want to say that this is definitely a reference to a ball game. You know what I mean? I mean, it could be. It could be a whole number of things. I don't feel like I'm qualified to do that. Isn't there something like this in that Road to El Dorado movie? Yeah. That was kind of one of the things that sort of brought this ball game into the forefront of well, everywhere that's not Central and South America. I feel like it really wasn't well known for that. Anyway, I've been ignoring the supers for a little bit, so hold on a second. It's time to catch up little bits, yeah. White Kaneko, thank you for the super. He said that tree from Taoism, if I remember. I think you're talking about the tree we're talking about, Lantern, right? Yeah, because we'll come back to that for sure. Absolutely come back to that for sure. And Fencer Dario, thank you for your super. There are so many crazy things from the stream. I don't know where to start. Pyro Sovereign, Playable Skirk, Capitano's Bait. I know, there's a lot. We can actually just... Let's jump off that. Let's use that as a bit of a launching point here. Hold on. That AI summary is the most annoying thing. Every time I change tabs, it's like, man, I'm going to show you with this thing. I was just here. Stop summarizing. Oh, this is the wrong one. Hold on. All right. Let's shift a little bit. Vibrating from excitement, waiting for the Pyro Traveler finally. I'm waiting for somebody to like actually show their kit, but they didn't show it in the trailer. It looked like they had wind blades, but fire this time. And also like a little turret thing that followed them. But beyond that, I don't think we know what their kit is, do we? Officially know what their kit is. Would that mean that Mavuika's line to the Capitano about being brave enough to compete is actually just a joke since he can't take his armor off without showing rot? I mean, it might be that, like, this isn't a fight of strength anymore. It's, like, he has to play a sport game, and he could probably lose at that because it's not, like, a contest of power. Which would make that really, really funny in hindsight. Oh, you're really funny. All right, let's move on. Oh, actually, there's one thing I want to talk about before we move on. Well, two things. We're going to talk about Mavuika a little bit. Cause okay, between her little Twitter blurbs and the stuff that they put on HoYoLab and stuff, those little like write-ups and whatever, her bike, there was a lot of confusion that I saw in the comment section and basically everywhere else, but it seems like her bike was in fact made by Shilonen. However, Mavuika drew up the designs for it, and I'm thinking based on this animated short that we have of her, this is basically her traveling through time, right? So if we think about her traveling through time, like, the only way she's going to be able to do that is if she goes somewhere that's not the physical universe, right? So my guess is that this bike is probably like some sort of manifestation from her consciousness, so to speak. You know what I mean? And then, like, she basically dreamed it up. Because she, you know, she's got to get there somewhere. She can't walk the whole way. So I think she kind of like dreamt this up in some sort of realm of concepts, so to speak. Kind of Night Kingdom style, but also not exactly. And then when she got to her destination, which was 500 years in the future, I think she drew up all of the ideas she had in her dream of this motorbike and stuff, and then gave it to Shilonen, and then she made it. So lame, you wish you rode like a Phoenix Saurian? Okay, you say that. But her bike is a dragon. And it's not even subtle. This is going to serve as a nice segue as we go into talk about the actual Pyro Sovereign remnants that we see here. You'll see in a minute. All right, so here's the thing. You can't see it that well here. We'll probably find a better shot of it. But, oh, wait, that was actually a pretty good one. Hold on. Yeah, you can see it here. The whole front end of this motorbike turns into a dragon head. The ads are every 5 minutes. 5 minutes? What? Okay. Hold on. 1 second. I'm turning this off for a second. Just give me 1 minute. I don't like the idea of you getting ads like every 5 minutes. That's too many. So let me just really quick pop in here. And I have this all the friggin'. Okay. Okay, for the record, I have the ad rates turned all the way down. So I'm gonna put it on manual now because I'm annoyed. Okay, I'm gonna turn this back on. And we're back. Sorry about that. Yeah. I don't know. YouTube's really weird. I've had such weird mixed results with the ads lately. It's gotten really bad. Even if it's a problem for that one person, though, like, it's just that one person who's speaking up. It might be a problem for a lot more people than just the one person. You know what I mean? And, like, I don't really care about the ad revenue made from a live stream. It's whatever, honestly. Anyway, the point I was trying to make here is you can actually see... well, you could see... Why is my resolution so far down? I just realized I'm at like 480p. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can see it there too. That might be why you can't see the damn skull. Like when she first launches the wings, it comes out and then it comes out as dragon wings, right? So like this whole bike is, yeah, you can see the skull right there too. Trying to catch a good shot of it. Oh, actually, that was a good one. Hold on. That was a good one. Yeah, okay, you can see it here. You can see its eye right there and his nose and his teeth and everything. So yeah, like, her bike is a dragon. Yeah. Did I notice in the Arlecchino animation how Scar is there even though he was wiped from the world? What does that entail? He wasn't wiped from the world. He was wiped from memory. But the shot that we saw there was from before that wipe. Did they forget about Durin? No, I don't think so. I think Durin's gonna be saved for after Natlan. Well, after the Archon quest. I wouldn't say, let's see. So 5.3, we're going to have the Archon quest finale and then Lantern Rite. 5.4, we should get a new region. So I'm going to say Collective of Plenty, which should be in the volcano, which should also give us the ending of the little guy. And then we're going to go on to 5.5, which should not have a new region. So that should have like an event of sorts. I would say 5.5 seems like it would be a good time for Durin. Actually, now that you say that though, not to get sidetracked, we are going to talk a little bit more about the dragons and stuff, but I was thinking about this for a second. You know how they show, okay, hold on. Where is the image of the upcoming characters? Do you guys know where the 5.5 might be? Okay, but if 5.5 is Windbloom, that's actually a good story to put in a main quest around Windbloom time. Is it near the end? It's near the end. Oh, look, it's in the most replayed spot. I should have used that as my cue. Anyway, okay, so this one's Eonsen, obviously. Don't know that one officially, shush. This one's like 99% Aoife. This one's, well, I don't know about these three. I don't know about these three, but this is the only other one that looks like it might be Natlan based. These two, I don't know. They look like they're part of a cooking troupe. And then this one is obviously Skirk. So between now and Shneznaya, or at least 6.0, we're getting Skirk, I guess. And I had this thought, I'm just like, wait a minute. Do you know how friggin' funny it would be to revive Durin, but like have it be the Dainlief quest? Because if we revive Durin and it's the Dainlief quest, because it's such a big thing, like you're going to be reviving the works of one of the sinners, right? Dain would be present with one of the sinner's students or children even, and then you'd have Wanderer there. But if Skirk is ever going to show up, the best point for her to show up would be right then, right? So you could have potentially Skirk, who's also the student of a sinner, Sertologi, right? And if we're really lucky, we could have Child show up, and then you'd have two. Well, you'd end up with 3 students of sinners, and then we could see what happens with Irminsul tampering if you have 2 people, like where one is supposed to be erased and one of them is actually the thing that was supposed to be erased. Like if you can see if they can jog memories again, that would be really cool. I think that could be a really, really, really fun story arc, and it would also be Dainlief's worst nightmare. And I think it would be amazing. It would be so much fun. It would be so much fun. No, Albedo's still there, obviously. So we know Albedo has to be there because it's Durin, right? So that's one sinner student. And then we know Albedo asked Wanderer for his help, so Wanderer will be there. Not exactly a son of a sinner or anything, but, you know, he's deleted from Irminsul. That's special. But what I'm also suggesting is that on top of Albedo and Wanderer showing up, like, it makes sense if the quest itself is the Dainlief quest, because, like, you'd actually be, like, delving into the sinners themselves through the eyes of the students. And then it would make sense if you had Child show up because we have the potential for Skirk showing up. And because Skirk is, like, such a big deal because she's an Abyss aligned character. I feel like the only arc in which it makes sense for her to show up and then also become playable is our yearly Dainlief quest. So like looking at it from that perspective, I'm like, that makes the most sense to me. But it has to happen before 5.8. Because 5.8 will be like the big event going into Shnishaya. When did Albedo and Wanderer make contact? In Simulanka. What element will Skirk be? I don't know. I like... I kind of don't want her to be playable. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't really like this idea of her being playable at this point in the game because I feel like she's like next gen characters. She feels like someone you would get towards the end of the Teyvat storyline and not at the end of 5 point whatever. You know what I mean? So I kind of like, I don't know, I'm super mixed on her appearance here. Like, I'm really mixed. They said these characters released from now on to 6 months. Also, I think we won't get any more Alice events. That one room in the Floating Isles kind of felt like an ending to me. No, we'll still get Alice events. I just think they're about to get very strange. What if she appears on Nod Cry? I mean, like, yeah, could. Imagine her being physical, yeah. I could see her being Animo or Cryo just because Cryo is very prismatic and then Animo tends to have all the black hole associations and she also had like the quantum black hole kind of stuff going on. I guess those would be my 2 picks. I think it would be Cryo, Animo, and Electro in that order would be the elements I would expect her to be. Very purple, thinking Electro. Yeah, it could be. Make her Geo. You know, though, if she was Geo, but like white crystal Geo, you know, like quartz, that could be really cool because that would make her like a silicate-based life form. And would explain, well, not explain her polygonness, but would really work with her polygonness. I accept the Geo idea. I think that's viable for sure. Pyrozukin, thank you for the super. Someone earlier mentioned that Capitano is Wanderer in Simulanka, and I'm thinking that's a pretty cool thought process. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like. It's a cool thought process, but I don't know how to make it apply because I don't feel like much of the main quest in Simulanka had a whole lot to do with Natlan specifically. It felt like the sub-stories of Simulanka all had to do with Natlan, but like the overall plot didn't so much, beyond the fact that we have to fight a really big dragon. A really big abyss dragon. Because, like, we're obviously not gonna... We're not gonna fight Shwikoatl here. Well, what's left of him. And then turn him into a tiny little Saurian, unless that's supposed to be what Mavuika's bike is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not super convinced that that's gonna happen. So, like, I'm not quite sure how to reconcile that part, especially when it was made so explicitly clear that this is about Durin. This is foreshadowing stuff to do with Durin. Albedo's here. Mona's here. Fischl's here. Wanderer's here. And, like, you know, like, I feel like it's a little odd that way, unless you want to argue the idea that Capitano is going to befriend Shwikoatl as like a baby Saurian, which could also be really funny and I would not be upset about. But I would be upset about the fact that Durin wouldn't come back. because I want baby Durin. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. Do you think Mavuika will still have Archon powers? I didn't see a vision on her. Yeah, she will. She's not going to stop being Archon. Everyone's gonna pog if Mavuika's bike starts talking. What if 6.0 wraps up all the mentioned lore reasons and not Schnez? I feel like this wouldn't be a good time to do that, but Genshin's story team has done weirder things. So, I mean, it's possible. I think it's silly. I mean, like, so here's the thing. I've heard that speculation that because Liban isn't talking about Snezhnaya, he's talking about Nodcry, that we're going to go to Nodcry, and that's kind of like a different sovereign nation, and it's going to be like chapter 5.5 instead of chapter 6, you know? But the thing is, last time we talked to Liban, before Natlan, he didn't talk about Natlan. He just talked about falling into a hole and staring up at a starry sky. Like, and we were all just like, oh my God, are we going to the Abyss? And then, yeah, we actually went to both. We went to Natlan and the Abyss, right? So to me, I don't think that Liban talking about just Nodcry and not Snezhnaya as a whole is necessarily indicative of us not going to Snezhnaya. Because no matter what, in Travail, the next chapter is Snezhnaya. Fenris, don't even think about it. That's not yours. I know he's a big baby, but that doesn't mean you can eat his frame. You can't. It's not yours. I know. I know. You're a big silly girl. Little sidebar. So I feed my dogs like half raw. But I forgot to thaw their meat for today when I was having to feed them. And so I had a whole chicken in my fridge that was totally thawed. And I'm just like, well, I'll just, you know, carve this up. And then I'll give them the bones and the spare meat. Like, I won't do a very good job carving it because they can just eat all the meat and it's good for them. And that's called a frame. When you take all of the, you know, flesh off of a chicken, and then like the small mix of organs and bones and ventricles and stuff like that that's left behind, that's called the frame. So whenever I carve a chicken, I just give them half of a frame each, basically. And Levi is such a baby. And I do mean like a little toddler child, that he will not eat raw meat from me unless I cut it up into little bite-sized pieces. And I'm not even joking. So he has half of a frame full of raw chicken meat and everything sitting in his bowl, waiting for him to eat it. And he ate all of the kibble and didn't touch the frame. And won't touch the frame until after this stream I go over there and take a knife and some kitchen shears and cut it up into smaller bite-sized pieces, because he is the biggest friggin' baby. So Fenris has no such qualms about eating frames. She'll eat anything if it's raw. So she's staring at his bowl being like, he's not eating it. Can I have it? Can I have it? Oh, he's such a brat. All right, I'm gonna throw them outside. Give me like 20 seconds to throw them outside, so they stop bothering me. I think I gotta move the position of the latch just a little bit because I think it's just a little bit too far back, but that's okay. It still shuts, still locks, we're good. Still shuts, still locks. Ow, 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 ow. Hold on. I did that to myself. That was... Yep. Okay. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Anywho. Am I good? You know, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's just one of those things where you like roll over your sock with your chair and then your whole foot is stuck and then you're twisted in a weird position. Maybe that only ever happens to me. Anyway, what was I doing? I was trying to catch up on stuff, and then you guys made it harder for me to catch up on stuff. Wait, can I go? Thank you again for your super close enough. Welcome back, Koraiden. I think that was from earlier when we were talking about our bike, right? Koraiden is that one Pokemon. Yeah? Oh, there's one thing I want to talk about here. Okay. You guys are gonna love this. I'm gonna go down a Deshret hole here in a second. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, Corrine's that one Pokemon from whatever that latest Pokemon game is, like the one that looks like half motorbike that you ride around. That one, isn't that him? There were two. I don't. I'm assuming you're talking about the red one. Okay. Before we do anything, I have to. I gotta do something. They think this is really funny. Okay, so, Candace is considered a descendant of Deshret, okay? I'm pulling her up because it's easier to show with her than it is to go find the things I'm thinking about without, like, booting up the game and stuff. Can you see both of these? You can't. Awesome. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna do that thing where I... Swappy. Okay, here we go. Did I? Oh, I'm in the wrong window, that's why. Where is it? There it is. Where'd she? Oh, there she is. Like, where'd she go? All right. I thought this was funny because this symbol on the inside of here is the same one on Candace's shield, but it's also the symbol. I forget what they're called. I forget what they're called. I don't think they're called nameless tablets. Maybe they are. No, they're not the nameless tablets. They're the things for the obelisks. Oh, actually, it's easier if we go this way. I'm on anti-fandom because anti-fandom doesn't have ads that drive me crazy. All right, this one. It's this symbol. It's this M here. The thing about this symbol, which I think is funny, is that I lost my chat. There it is. We're good. This symbol as you go through the desert, this symbol is one that represents the rising sun. So the sun over the horizon, like the dot here, or in this case, the diamond here, is supposed to be the sun. And then this is supposed to be a mountain. And then this is supposed to represent the sky and all that kind of stuff. Are they called stone slates? Gotcha. Homa symbol. It's not quite the Homa symbol, but yeah, I mean, you could probably go that direction if you wanted to. I mean, if that is what they're actually trying to go for with the Homa symbol, then like relating the Homa symbol to fire and then obviously again to like the rising sun, I think is quite interesting. But I was looking at it in terms of these swords belonging to the Eroded, or like the remnants is what I actually want to call it, of the Pyro Sovereign, I think is very interesting. Not because I'm trying to link him to Deshret, but because like it's so interesting to me that they went through the trouble of making a glyph that meant something and then carrying that meaning over to here, especially when you see it, you know, reinterpreted for Candace over here, but this time with a falcon. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. What do I make of the heart shape on Klee's hood, Yulan's jacket, Tuletula's remembrance, etc.? These. So a Bodhi tree is kind of like a pretty sacred leaf. It's a very sacred tree in Buddhism. It's one that's associated with the Buddha. So to me, when I see the heart-shaped things, I see leaves. When I see leaves, I think world tree. So I'm just thinking of the heart shape now as symbols of the world tree. So in Klee's case, it's actually interesting because she ends up with 4 of them to end up making like her little clover, which is also what her name means. Klee means clover. So 4 leaves, 4-leaf clover. Starting to see the picture here. Yeah, so that's that part. Levi's being a baby again, and he already wants to come inside. You watch, Fenris is gonna spend the whole evening outside like the little blizzard dog she is. Never mind, Finny decided to come in. Hi, Fenris. I know. Do you want this off? Is that too tight? Okay, hold still. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're good. Good, babes. Good, Bubba. Shush. By the way, on the community post, the silver dog that I posted, that's Fenris. She's funny. Doggy cam when? Honestly, that would be more interesting than watching me do anything. You can either watch me sit and talk, or you can watch my dog sit there and look really cute. Everyone's got the preference. Levi and Fenris, one named after AOT Levi and the other named after... No. Levi's full name is Leviathan. He's named after a sea monster. Fenris's full name is Fenrisilfar. She's named after a wolf monster. Don't get it twisted. I did not name Levi after Attack on Titan. What's funny is Finny really likes swimming. Levi does not like swimming, even though he's named after the sea monster. It didn't work. Is Levi a teacup? No, he's huge. He's about 60 pounds, which is about as big as you can be for a mini Aussie. Fenris is a little overweight right now. I think she's at 50. What were you last at your last weigh-in? Like 54? You need to go down about 6 pounds. You're just a little chunky, huh? She's just a little chunky girl. Holy cow. I mean, they're compact. They can only be, 14 inches at the shoulder to be a mini? They can't be any bigger than that. If they're any bigger than that, they're a full-size Aussie. Anyway. Even she would make her pets myth-related. I can't, yeah. Well, I tried to name her Feldspar, but it just didn't sound right, and so I ended up naming her Fenris. There's a close-up of the swords at 449 special program. We'll do a rewind here in a bit. You can also see them here. They've also got the cubes. They're back. The cubes are back. We got purple cubes now. Those are new. We've only seen red cubes. Now we got purple cubes. I want a better shot of the cubes. You know what's funny? This is also the X from Arlecchino, isn't it? It's even got like the swirling DNA strandy kind of stuff going on. Got your impact frame. I want to see if it had more cubes in there. Kind of seems like it does. MiHoYo is dating cubes at this point. I don't think these are the sustainer cubes, though. They don't have the markings on them, but it is interesting that they have, that they're there. They seem to have the Abyss markings with, like, the triple lines and stuff. Also curious that it has these separate cores. Okay. I can't. I know I'm being a bit delusional here, but does no one else see some Wanderer in here? With the dual slash, the X in the middle, and then this special attack where it's like feathers coming off of the wings, because that's actually what he does on his dash every now and again. No one else sees that but me. Because when he was also going into God mode form, he also has that big ol' orby thing that he tries to summon that's like an OHKO. You know? I'm going to see patterns whether anyone likes it or not. No, but look. This is funny. Because Traveler is doing it here too. Anyway. There's a reason why I'm flagging that. Which will not make any sense until I finally put that video together. And if Hoyo gives me a down patch to actually do that, I will. I feel like they won't, though, which is going to be really annoying. Pyro Sovereign looks like a salamander? I don't know if he looks like a salamander. He doesn't have back legs. No down patches. You know, if that ends up true that there are no down patches ever again, I'd believe it. I know you're saying it to be facetious, but like... Felnight Gaming, thanks for the super. I'm gonna see patterns whether you like it or not. Submitted respectfully as a channel motto. That's it's pretty accurate. All right. I'm gonna rewind a little bit. Hold on. RazorClaw999, thank you for the super. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays to you too. Who are the best Genshin lore tubers out there? This is subjective. Okay, there's a lot of Genshin lore tubers out there, and I feel like certain people will click with certain styles more so than others. And then also, they all sort of cover different things. I really like this part, though. It's really fun. Everyone kind of has, like, their thing, right? Like, Roosevelt and I tend to have a little bit more of a similar style, but she tends to focus a bit more on, like, certain types of topics. She definitely does more stuff with Fischl and obviously with Kaya and more Conria stuff than I do. And then there's, like, Silicon 1-4, who tends to be more lore focused than theory focused. Like, he does like a lot of recaps. He summarizes artifact and weapon lore. You know, like Aru Hiseki has like lots of really short, concise theories that are easy to follow. And then obviously there's Minsleaf, who does a nice mix of basically everything. But like, there are so many. And I feel like I should just make a list. I should just make a list at this point. I was going to make one for Star Rail because I feel like there are less creators out there for Star Rail. And I feel like the attention doesn't get spread around that much. And then the Zenless lore is just very rare. So I was going to make a list for that. I may as well just make a list for all three at this point. I'll make it. I'll put it together. Idiot Akko, happy holidays to you too. I'll make a list. I'll put it on my community posts. When I put it together. Like I have a lot of people who are like bookmarked and saved. I just gotta, you know, actually do the thing. I just gotta compile it. Yeah. Cuba, thank you for the super. Great content, by the way. Thank you very much. Cryo Lector from the Card Bear quest had some abyssal spells, so perhaps Cryo has some connection to abyss powers. It's plausible. There is something strange about Cryo. You ever heard someone say that there's no such thing as cold, there's only the absence of heat? I think about that a lot when it comes to all this like phlogiston stuff and how elements come from well, phlogiston based thing, you know, like there's because they focus so much on suns and stars and everything, and like those are like the source of life and whatever. Cryo is interesting because technically it's not frozen water. It's just the absence of heat. So to say that it has something to do with the abyss isn't actually that far of a stretch, if only because like if life requires warmth, then the abyss is like the antithesis of life in whatever way you want to frame it. Then cryo is the absence of heat. Heat is life. Then cryo must be the absence of life as well, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like there is like some science-y kind of an explanation for how you could bring that about. And it's also, now that I'm looking at it too, this is also fun because you've got like Mavuika, who's supposed to be representing, you know, the living of Natlan, whereas Citlali here is cryo and representing the dead, so spirits and that kind of thing. So I definitely think there's something to be said for that. I've pitched a lot of the time that like fire in Genshin isn't about death. Fire in Genshin is about rebirth. And, you know, like the source of life. So when the fire goes out, that's death. Yeah. Why do I think HSR is so much less popular lore-wise? The story team of Star Rail isn't as good as... Let me give you an example, actually. Let me explain this using Linny. So the skill of a magician is how well they can divert and control the source of your attention. And if they can't control your attention, it doesn't matter how skilled they are at the actual trick, the trick will fail and the magic is broken, right? So I think Genshin, and the Genshin story team specifically, has done a really good job at being able to control your attention and direct you where they want you to go at any given time. So what ends up happening is that multiple people can be like, oh, we can lock on to this target because the developers have put this target in front of us, we're looking at it, right? And then it gives basically everyone, not just the theorists and the lore enthusiasts or whatever, but like basically everyone, like it puts those ideas front and center in their head so they know what to look for if they're searching for things on Reddit or YouTube. Or if they stumble upon them, then like it's recognizable and it might pique their interest. And I think it's a lot harder to do with Star Rail because they've built something that's actually so massive that it's very difficult to be like, hey, look at this, hey, look at this, hey, look at this, because you're basically in a casino where lights are flashing off in every direction. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of... So Star Rail's world building is actually pretty good. It's just too big. And the way that they're presenting it to us, they're presenting too much too fast. And so it's very difficult to have that almost zeitgeist that you leverage in order to get attention. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's a couple of really good Star Rail theorists. Oh, what's her name? Lalody's lore. She makes some really good lore summaries of like some very text dense events and stuff, but she doesn't get a whole lot of attention for them. like nearly as much as I feel like she should. Based on like content quality and the time that she puts in and everything. Like, and I feel like a lot of that is because even though the topics that she's covering are very interesting, like they don't zeitgeist into the general populace. You know what I mean? So like most people might see a video citing Polka Kakamon and they'll be like, I don't know who that is. I don't really care. Right? Whereas they're more likely to click something that has to do with bananas because we had a whole story arc just about bananas. But if you put bananas and monkeys and stuff into a thumbnail, you'll have a lot more success getting attention. And then you could bait and switch to talking about Dr. Primitive and everyone connected to him. You could totally do that. But like it's the problem is the lore is so vast that it makes it very complicated and very difficult. Anyway. I will say like the level of interconnectedness and the level to the like the attention to detail is the same as Genshin, if not quite a bit more expansive. But like I said, the presentation of it is like they just took you to a buffet and there's like it's just one giant room and there's tables and dishes in every direction you look for as far as you can see. And you have no idea where to start. Whereas in Genshin, it's like you're still at a buffet, but there's one line of tables going down a hallway. And every now and again, there might be a different hallway that you can turn down and go down a different buffet line of tables. But like you can basically see what's coming. And that makes it a lot easier for people to be like, oh, you're talking about sausages. Yeah, I see that. It's coming up. Yeah, I'm with you. It's a weird... I understand that that's a bit of a weird analogy. Sorry, I got distracted. The kitchen is in the middle rather than surrounding you. Yeah, something like that. Am I hungry by any chance? Not really, but I like food in general. I like the science of food. So like if I can talk about something in terms of food, I probably will. Exhaustion, thank you for the super. Since we didn't get Durin in 5.2, do you think he'll show up next summer? Our baby Durin is our baby dragon. I talked about this a little bit earlier. I think he'll show up 5.5 or 5.6. That's my prediction. I think we'll have a big ol' Dainlief quest with Durin. I think that would be a great thing. That's what I'm thinking. RazorClaw999, welcome back. Thanks again. What if the area Liban was talking about is like Dragonspine Chasm or Chenyu Vale? It seems like it should be. Which is one of the reasons why I'm not really thinking that for 6.0 we're gonna go to just Nodcry and then like nowhere else in Snezhnaya. Like I'm not... That would be such a strange decision to do. I would expect it to be like Chenyu Vale, honestly. For, yeah. Like north of Mondstadt, basically. Phase and Masher, thank you for the super. Abyss Dragon palette swap Elden Beast. I don't know what an Elden Beast looks like. Oh, this thing. I'm not very good at Dark Souls games. I don't usually get that far. I mean... I feel like I think I have to like... I feel like I have to actually see the thing move. Because I watched this once ages ago, but I remember nothing. But I don't want Fortnite. Go away. Forts are for all times of day, not just nights. If anything, this thing looks like an ethereal from Zenless. am very in my zenless zone. I thought the finale was excellent. I wanna see fighting. He looks like a sea cucumber. A sparkly, glittery sea cucumber. I mean, he has a sword and he's big and he goes slish slash. I don't know if any of his other movesets look like the Abyss Dragons. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to use an Elden Ring or any other Dark Soul boss as a source of inspiration for their boss fights. I would not be surprised. I'm actually not going to say what this thing looks like. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go. That does look quite a bit. I mean, I know this is also a common moveset, too. But, yeah, I mean, that's pretty similar. Although these definitely home a lot more. I don't really want to watch this whole thing. Oh. Wait, I think he died. Unless there's like, yeah, okay, he died. Yeah, I mean, I'm without a shadow of a doubt, I have no doubt that Hoyoverse would use something like this as like their primary source of inspiration. You know what I mean? They do this kind of stuff a lot. And it does kind of ride that edge of, are you copying or are you paying homage? But yeah, I mean, like there's definitely similarities. I do want to continue to talk about this dragon though, but I've lost my place. Where'd he go? Little dragon, come back. Well, he wasn't very little. Big dragon. Big dragon, big dragon, big dragon, big dragon. Raven 2785, about your weird twisty pain. We call that aging. Hey, listen! No! I mean, yes, we do. But usually for me, that's like spinal, because sitting for long periods, compression, all that kind of... No, in this case, like, I sit weird. And I've always sit weird. No, I'm not going to fix my tenses on that. I always just sit weird. So, like, I got my sock under the wheel, but I had my one leg under my other leg, and then that one leg that I wasn't sitting on was like the sock that was under the wheel. And so then I couldn't get my other leg out. And so then I had to like twist weird to get the thing off, and then I rolled over my toe. Don't ask. One day I'm just going to cut this table in half, and I'm going to build my entire office on the floor because I kind of hate sitting in chairs. I want to sit on the floor so that I can always have a dog on either side of me. And those will be my armrests, and they will be happy, and I'll be happy, and there'll be no more rolling over my toes or Levi's butt hair as I so often roll over it because he sits under my chair for some reason, even though he knows that the wheels move and that his butt hair gets ripped out because he jumps up, startled, and it just... He has a lot of hair, it's fine. It doesn't really hurt him, like it's spare hair, but... you know. Ever and on, thank you for your super. Do you think Mavuika's seeming death during the trailer and the dragon using her ability is because during the battle they are able to steal the demon god power from the primordial shard Mavuika has? I'm not sure I understand that question. But I do think it's likely that she dies and does not stay dead. Because, like, part of me is wondering if the reason that we can't get our little power from the Statue of Seven has to do with Mavuika and the pact that they have with Renova. And that once the pact has been fulfilled, then, like, the system starts working as intended again. And then the Traveler can get it. But I also wonder if it's equally likely that... Okay, here's the thing. Dragon. Okay. You see, this thing about this dragon is, like, it's got one sword that's totally corrupted. And then there's one sword and arm that's still, like, not fully digested by the abyss yet. Right? Like, you see that part? Part of me wonders if this little bit of flame is going to be something we, as the Travelers, steal from this dragon. And then use that authority to, like, power up Mavuika. Like we saw somewhere in here. I don't quite remember where, but somewhere in here. I'm not saying that we completely take their firepower or anything, but I'm wondering if, like, that's where we get it. Or if we borrow hers. I don't know. This scene. Yeah. Because then they kind of unite as one. And, like, part of me sitting there, like, I'm wondering if this is, in part, the shared power of the throne, like the Dragon Authority throne, you know? That they're both calling on, and they're just doing it together. Because if you think about it, if they were to both share a throne, it's also very possible that they both have to share the same rules, which would mean that if they fight together, so long as one of them wins, the other one can come back. So maybe they're like twinning, for lack of a better term, here. Because that could be something. Big dragon. Big, big dragon. He's so big. How are they the same height? Mavuika doesn't have her heels on there. She's just floating. How do I feel about the utilization of Capitano? I'm going to withhold my judgment until after this quest. I have been very underwhelmed about Capitano's involvement so far. And I've been very vocal about that. I've found him to be so underwhelming for first of the Fatui. Like, if you think about how much havoc... This is so cool. If you think about how much havoc... I think that's from Seatlolly's quest, that orb thing. The 11th Harbinger caused. And then the 6th and the 8th. If you think about how much those guys caused, and then the first is like chill and does kind of nothing, it feels super weird and unbalanced, especially when number 2 also caused a crazy amount of havoc as far as Dottore goes. You know what I mean? And even Arlecchino is like forgiven for her lack of havoc because like she was very clear about her intention. She kind of came in and was like, I'm going to be a diplomat. And I'm basically giving you a time limit. I'm going to act as pressure. Right? So she's basically sitting there going, Farina, you better do something or I'll do it for you. And then Capitano comes in and he's like doing the same thing again, but like without the pressure, because I feel like he doesn't have the same elevated status over Mavuika as Arlecchino had over Farina. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's a combination of that kind of stuff. I'm hopeful that this final arc will kind of add a little bit more color to him. But I'm also not confident that it will. One thing I want to point out is that in this screenshot, we do not see Capitano. We see 4 characters we don't recognize. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we see 1 we definitely do. Well, 2 we definitely do. And then 3 we can make a reasonable assumption about. Like, this is basically Aoife. It's not like this is going to suddenly turn into yassified Capitano, because that would be so problematic. I think I'd be really upset. But like, because this is a little baby Kugasaur thing that we saw in the trailer, like we're like 99% sure this is Aoife, you know? So the fact that we don't see Capitano in this lineup makes me think 2 things. 1, he's not playable in the next 6 months. And 2, his story doesn't end in Natlan. This is kind of like a preview teaser of what he's gonna be able. Like, I feel like it's almost like they're intending for us to build a bond with Capitano right now, and then when we finally do get to Snezhnaya or Nodcry, wherever we're going, or both, maybe we'll already have a rapport with him, and so whatever happens then will matter more, or will feel more impactful. That's kind of my hopes right now for best case scenario, because I feel like if he was gonna play a really massive role in this Archon quest, he would have had way more screen time in these trailers, for one thing. He's had like 0 screen time in these trailers, and so even though he's on the thumbnail here, all that says to me is that he's gonna be there to help us fight the dragon. Like, that's the only thing it says to me. But he's nowhere else in these trailers. Like, he's barely even mentioned. So to me, that means like, his story is not here. He's just here as like a prequel to what he's supposed to be. And I do find that disappointing. So the only thing I can really hope that they'll do with him is to do what I said and leverage this relationship that we built with him in Natlan to accomplish something bigger in Snezhnaya when we get there. So this preview only adds 16 characters. We've always had 17 in each patch cycle since Inazuma. He did 1 line of dialogue. Okay, I might have missed it, but that's admittedly, I play in English, and obviously the English voice lines have been a bit spotty due to all of the recording contracts and the fact that Genshin seems to be moving recording studios from Formosa to somewhere else. So I'm sure that's all in chaos and disarray. So like, most of this was in Chinese, and I don't recognize any of the Chinese voices, so it's very possible that I just missed it. Actually, it's probable. It's likely. It's more than that. But yeah, so anyway, if there's a conflict in the Fatui, which harbingers do you think we'd side with? I mean, like, it would depend on what the conflict is. I mean, it's not like we have favorites within the Fatui. Like, you can make an argument for Child, and you can make an argument for Arlecchino if you want to, but, like, at the same time, they might not be on the right side of things. We don't know. It would really depend on whatever the conflict would be. What if he's the one that ends up sacrificing himself to Mavuika from her impending destiny? I mean, yeah, he could pay the price instead of her. But, like, that would imply that they'd kill him off. I don't feel like they'd do that. I mean, they could. It would be bold. But can you imagine what would happen if Hoyoverse killed not one, but two of the most anticipated Harbingers and made them not playable, like, for the long foreseeable? Okay, like, listen, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Signora, as she was in her OG design, was never meant to be playable. It's very clear that she was never meant to be playable. That doesn't mean Signora as a character was never meant to be playable. Like, it is still possible that she'll come up again at some point. We'll go through a resurrection, we'll visit a Night Kingdom and find her ghost or something like that. You know, like, that is all possible. However, it's been several years. Okay? Like, literal year. And understand that, like, Wanderer as Scaramouche was introduced one patch after Signora was. Or two. One or two patches out. I can't remember if it was a 1.1 or 1.2. I feel like it was 1.1, but yeah, I would think it was 1.1. So he was introduced one patch after she was, and was playable long before she was. You know? So it feels, and even then we had to wait a couple years for him. So, like, I feel like if they kill Capitano, he won't be playable for, like, another 3 years. Like, the end of the Conria story, whenever we got there. And maybe the same is true for Signora. I don't know. But, like, I feel like so many people would be so upset about that. You know what I mean? I'm just not confident that they'll go through with it. I feel, okay, so I'm gonna give you another theory, okay? I know there are a lot of, okay, I need you guys to stop sending me supers for a bit, because I'm gonna get really distracted. And I don't want to neglect the ones I do have. Like, I know, I see you, I promise, but I gotta clear the brain before we can keep going. Okay, so, you know how we have a Lord of the Night, and it's a Seelie and whatnot? I was thinking earlier about how Xbalanque is supposed to be from a pair of heroes, right? Like, he's half of two. It's supposed to be Xbalanque and his brother Hunahpu. And the thing that we've seen over and over again in Natlan is that there is no Hunahpu, right? Now, Mavuika is obviously supposed to be the Xbalanque here because she inherited his role as Archon, right? So she is the Xbalanque in this picture. And so we're missing her quote-unquote twin. Now, you can make an argument that the twin is supposed to be the Traveler, and I don't buy that so much, because the Traveler is supposed to be a witness, is supposed to sort of be outside the story and sort of like helping as auxiliary support. He's not actually supposed to have like a real role in the story necessarily. So the most likely candidate, and many people have said this since like 5.0, the most likely candidate for a Hunahpu-like figure is Capitano. The thing about the hero twins legend is that one of them dies, and then both of them die and become resurrected, and then one becomes the sun and one becomes the moon. Now, obviously, Mavuika is going to stay the sun because she's going to stay the Archon of Natlan. So in this case, Capitano could become the quote-unquote moon, so the one who stays in the night time Kingdom area. So I am wondering if in some way he will become, I don't want to say twins as in like a genetic sort of way, but twins as in like a pairing, right? Twins as in opposites. Like you need a duality, not twins as in like genetically identical or related or anything like that. And I wonder if he'll be like a stabilizing force in the Night Kingdom instead, and he'll sort of like take on a partner role to her. And so he would be in effect dead, but also still present, if that makes sense. I feel like that could be not really a cop out, but it could work with the dying sort of thing going on. And I want to point out that we do have multiple sets of twins throughout Natlan's history. There's one set in the Ring of Yaksha. I am not saying that right. I know that. But there's a pair there. There was another pair in the legend of the Scarlet Eye Boy, who was the first Pyro Archon after Xbalanque. And then the other pair of twins that we have is actually Wahaklaun Ubakan and Cha'ak. The interesting thing about that pairing is that we know without a shadow of a doubt that they are not in any way related, whereas with the other twins, they were to a degree. Well, like we're pretty sure they were at least siblings, or blood related in some way. But with Wahaklaun, Ubakan, and Chak, one was human and one was dragon. Like they were not genetically related in any case. But the reason why I'm calling them twins is because in the records of Hanan Pacha, which tells a story about them, they actually reenact a couple of the myths of Xbalanque and Hunahpu, which means that they both accepted the roles of those hero twins. Do you see what I'm saying? So, like, there was a requirement for two to be present there. Not twins, but Chaska's story is about a human and Saurian pair of sisters too. Yeah, so it's definitely like the duality thing, right? You need two halves of something. So I'm thinking that might be where they'll go with that, because if the first theory that I was pitching earlier in the stream is right, and that we're going towards a situation where like the Rite of the Sacred Flame turns into a sports tournament, and then therefore that first teaser that we got of the Natlan characters, the Natlan storyline, actually takes place after all of the Archon quests, then that implies the presence of Capitano after all is said and done, which, if you think about it, he's still pictured with Auron, right? And I think he's even... Hold on. Is he actually... Hold on. He's in the Night Kingdom here, isn't he? No, he isn't. That's, This is the, Nightwind tribe. So he's not in the Night Kingdom here. But I was just thinking, like, Auron is associated with ghosts and all that kind of stuff. And spirits. And they go to the Night Kingdom and things like that. So I was just wondering if this might have been Mavuika extending an invitation to a new Lord of the Night, so to speak. It would be interesting if that's the case. Anyway, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Can Mavuika indwell in a Saurian like the Traveler? It seems like it. That does seem likely. Yeah, it seems likely. When you mentioned regions from other places, you meant places like Mondstadt, Leeweg. Yeah, I know what you meant. I just don't think they'll do it. I mean, I've seen the rumor that you're talking about. I know what you're referencing. I just don't think that's. I still think that would be an extremely strange choice. Like an absurdly strange choice. I have no doubt that we'll get, you know, like Dornman Port or Blackcliff Forge or anything like that, or even maybe a new island in Inazuma or whatever during 6.0. Like, I have no doubt we'll get something like that. I just don't think that's all we'll get. You know, like that would strike me as so strange. Why is Mavuika's burst icon multiple colors? Because it's not actually using energy. It's her burst uses, what's it called? She uses Night Soul. Fighting Spirit, yeah. Cian says that because Honkai Part 2 lost a lot of players, they want to drag it out. I don't think that's smart, though. So here's the thing, okay? I'm gonna give you a hot take. And then I'm gonna go back to supers for a minute. I'm gonna give you a hot take and then back to supers. I think Honkai Impact Part 2 wasn't well received because of the kind of story that Honkai Impact is. So Honkai Impact Part 1 followed a very tight-knit group of friends. It had a very condensed cast. And when you got new characters, like, there weren't a whole lot to choose from, right? Like, it wasn't nearly the scale of Star Rail or Genshin. It like, you got reruns and alternate forms of the same characters over and over and over again. So what happened with Part 2 is they gave you a whole new cast of characters. Right? Like, you still have some of the old ones, and you can obviously still play as the characters that you already had from Part 1. But they gave you a whole new cast of characters. And in a game that was made to specifically follow a very tight-knit group of characters, that's a really hard thing to sell. So even though it made sense going from Honkai Part 1 being only about Earth and a single planet to Honkai Part 2 being exploring beyond Earth as a planet, it's difficult to maintain an audience after you gave them full closure on a story arc with brand new characters. If they wanted to retain more people and make it an easier sell, even if it didn't work narratively, what they should have done is picked like Bronya or Mei to be the next characters that would be focused on and featured as they go through the next part. I know that didn't work for the story that they want to tell in Part 2, which is why they didn't do it, and I can totally respect that, but it's because of the nature of what kind of game Honkai Impact is. I wrote in a script the other day, I wrote Hompact Impact, and I was like, wow, I'm tired. But Genshin's a little bit different because we focus on one character as the traveler, but we're always meeting new characters, and it's just new character, new character, new character, new location, new location, new. It's all about the next thing and about exploration and excavation and archaeology in a lot of ways. So I feel like transitioning from Teyvat only to a wider world is going to be an easier transition for most people than it was from Honkai Impact Part 1 to Honkai Impact Part 2. Because if you give up, say, like, let's give two hypothetical situations for the end of Genshin Part 1. Let's say at the end of Genshin Part 1, the twins fuse together into one entity, godlike thing, and they have to stay on Teyvat and they can't do anything else forever. Well, you could then pick a character or create a whole new traveler or create a traveler avatar or just make it about a grown-up Paimon who's no longer little and squeaky and have her go out and explore the universe on her own. Now she has to set on her own journey by herself, right? Like, you could do something like that. right? And you could easily, just by focusing on one character, you could carry on Genshin into the next phase 2, whatever it is. I think that's doable and possible because of the way that they structured this game. Or even Dainlief, right? Like maybe you could actually make part 2 Dainlief leaving Teyvat and going somewhere else. Like you could do that. Or the son of Dainlief, like whatever you want to do. Like you could do all of that kind of stuff, right? Dane's leave. Yeah. He's gonna make like a tree. He's gonna leaf. I vote for Scar. Do you know what kind of crazy shockwave of rage that would instill throughout the Chinese player base if they made Wanderer the next traveler in part 2? Do you know how upset so many people would be? It'd be so funny, man. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of things you could do with it. I feel like the way that Genshin is structured is much more malleable for being able to expand out the world, because it is a story of exploration and always bringing you new things, and new places to explore. It's ever expanding. It's supposed to be like that. Does China not like Scar? Well, it's not that so much that China doesn't like Scar, it's that men don't like Scar. When there was a whole incident in China where people were so upset about Wanderer that they were actually going out and trying to kill black cats. Like, no joke, that actually happened. People were that upset. And I'm not going to say like that's everybody or that represents like a huge amount of the player base, but like a lot of people were very upset about him in general. Like just his existence pisses off a lot of people. And then like the most extreme of them actually went out and tried to kill cats. What did the cats do? Nothing. It's just that when they told Wanderer's backstory, they showed him as a black cat or like a dark purple one. So they went out and tried to kill some black cats. Cats because of the April Fool's art. It might have been that, yeah. But yeah, like I'm just saying, like that they would never do that because I feel like that would just cause such chaos. So I'm not too fond of the idea of them trying to pad things out unnecessarily. I feel like what they would have to do is extend 5.x into beyond 5.8, you know, because they can't give us 6.0 and not give us Snezhnaya because that's not chapter 6. Unless they want to give us an entire year of just interlude chapters, which I still think is a bizarre choice. Because it would also mean that, yeah, I don't really want to go into it too much unless they're going to try and fuse like Snezhnaya and Conry or whatever. I don't know. It feels weird. It feels too weird to me. Yeah. Hersher of Domination, thank you for your super. Some of the books in Mondstadt that whenever there's some type of thing relating to time manipulation somehow involves foxes. The sacred Sakura is in the shape of a fox and is also connected to time. They're not the only thing connected to time, but I do know what you mean. There was, I forget, what was it I was reading recently that was about time that had to do with foxes. I don't remember. Hold on. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look. I'm probably not gonna find anything, but I'm gonna look anyway. Because I do remember having this conversation. I just don't remember what it was. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, it's Crystal Marie was doing some research on something, and she was talking about a Shinja story called The Dream of Aranya, which is kind of like a trope. And basically this story is like it's about an eternal loop, like an eternal dream loop. But I guess it has to do with like a nine-tails fox spirit that gets trapped in the dream of Aranya. And it's like a whole dream loop thing. So like that would help them be related to time if we go down the Shinsha route. That's where I remember seeing it. I think that would be like a good book to pick up. Kind of give it a read. See what's up with that. I marked it as something I was going to go back and talk about. Or not talk about, but go read for myself. Go research a little bit more. I'm reading the rest of her messages. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess it has something to do with the tree and then like a primordial goddess going to sleep for a long time and that kind of stuff. So it did feel quite relevant. But I don't know a whole lot about this one. Again, that was just that was Crystal Marie looking into stuff. It's called The Dream of Aranya. I'll put that in chat. Did I read Springs of Hidden Jade? Is that the one with the unicorn? Or not the unicorn, but the horse in it? Because yes, I did. If Deshret had accepted the Gnosis, would he be the Pyro Archon? But then he can't be Sumeru's Archon. I don't think he was ever actually offered a Gnosis. This is another hot take of mine, but as a Deshret enthusiast, I don't think he was offered a Gnosis. I know it says that Celestia came down and offered him a gift, but the original text, I was talking to someone who's actually fluent in Chinese and doesn't just rely on dictionaries and translation programs like I do. And they were saying it actually translates into something that's more akin to like God's grace, like God offered them his grace, which typically means like God offers a blessing of some sort. I don't necessarily think that was a gnosis, because gnoses are usually described as curses. So it feels weird for them to call it a gnosis, which is another reason why I don't think that's what it is. But I have my hypothesis about why that is, and I'm not prepared to go into it right now. A blessing for marriage? A chemical marriage, maybe. Thank you for the gifted, Nandin Sarkar. I don't know how to say your first name. My dyslexia is kicking in, and I don't know how those letters work. I apologize. Did I read Auron's story about why some people have animal ears? If you did, any thoughts? I've talked about the atavistic nature of the animal ears before. It's mentioned in both Kachina and Lynette's story as well. I have no new thoughts on it right now. They're described as a curse by Skirk, who is more aligned with the Abyss, seeing as her master is one of the sinners. Maybe Celestia sees them as a grace. It's plausible. However, it's important to keep in mind that Deshret was someone who also sought out the power of the Abyss. So I'm a little wary of calling it a blessing in that context because of him. If it was any other god, I would agree with you, but because he in particular went and specifically sought out the Abyss, I'm not too sure. I think that's one of the reasons why the English translation at least translates it into just a gift and not a very specific type of gift, because it was a little ambiguous. But I'm still not convinced it was a gnosis. Yeah. Not convinced it was a gnosis. We do still need to move on to the lantern rite thing. Oh, wow. Mui, thank you so much for your super. That is extremely generous. Wow. I have missed that for apparently a very long time. Those usually stick around for a long time. I am very long-winded. Sorry. Okay. You said, I know it's probably unlikely, but to whoever finds the connections to Honkai Impact 3rd, Genshin, and Honkai Star Rail, I look forward to the lore implications of all three games getting closer and closer. Well, I'll tell you this. I have a new theory, which is gonna focus on the triplicate of relationships between the three, that I'm hoping to release next patch. This should be fun. So maybe you'll get your wish. You'll definitely get your wish. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Did I like the new skins for Hu Tao and Xiangling? I liked Hu Tao's. I think Xiangling looks too Santa-ish for me and kind of feels a bit more generic. So okay, just along that same line. Oh, you're hungry now. You're actually going to eat your frame. Well, go on. Don't let me stop you. They say hunger is the best seasoning, puppy. Sorry, distracted. So here's the thing. Whether we like it or not, there are two things that we have to keep in mind. The first is that Honkai Star Rail was designed explicitly to be a part of the world of Honkai Impact, as in it was supposed to be created as the answer to the question, what's out there in Honkai Impact, like beyond Earth? The second thing we know, or that we can at least speculate with some reasonable amount of certainty, is that Honkai Impact is connected to Genshin. So by association, if Genshin is connected to Honkai Impact and Honkai Impact is connected to Honkai Star Rail by design, then we can reasonably also assume that we've created a trifecta here and that Honkai Star Rail is also connected to Genshin. How is the question? I went over kind of like how the developers think about that in a video I posted yesterday. Did I post it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember. Within the last day or two. I've been very busy. I've lost track of time. I don't think it'll actually be a problem, but I do think it's important to keep in mind the mindset of the development and story team when we think about things and how they approach their body of work, so to speak. So even if you don't like Star Rail, the reason why I'm looking at it as potential fodder for explanations for certain things cosmically in Genshin is because it's supposed to be a wider world building, like a wider lens than just a single world. And so a lot of the mechanics of the universe at large, not necessarily any one individual planet or faction or whatever, but like the mechanics of the universe at large feel very applicable in a lot of ways to answering some of the mysteries of Genshin. And I also think that is by design. And there's a couple of really interesting things that I've noticed recently that I want to talk about at length, but in a structured format, so not right now. Where does ZZZ fit into the trifecta? Nowhere right now. However, if I'm right about this next one, it might fit in the same place Genshin does, which would actually be really funny. the other thing worth pointing out is that in Simulanka, okay, here's a little crack, okay? In Simulanka, about halfway through, we had to return stars to the sky. And we had to do so in a train called the Aerial Express, which is a very obvious reference to the Astral Express. And the stars were knocked out of the sky by the Leviathans, or well, the dragons, really. So if I was to translate this into Star Rail terms, I'd be like, oh, we've got the Astral Express, and we've got stars that fell from the sky. Well, those are stellarons, right? Because stellarons are fallen stars from way, way, way long ago. I don't care what anyone says about it being part of Nanook's whole thing. It's not. I think I can prove it. They just predate him as far as timeline goes, so I can't really look at him and be like, oh yeah, these are Nanook babies, and like, no, they're just fallen stars. So looking at them that way, we've got an Astral Express, we've got stellarons, those are fallen stars that you got to return to the sky, I guess, in a lot of ways. Like we do have to return, we have to seal them, at least put them back in their place so that we can continue along the Silver Rail. I told you not to sit under my chair. You are 9 years old. You should know better. It is not my fault if you end up with a bald butt. It's not. You should know better. But the thing about Star Rail that I find really interesting is that, like, before all of the eons and everything, there were Leviathans. And I'm looking at a lot of the dragons in Genshin, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, these could be analogous to Leviathans, right? So if we're looking at Leviathans and falling stars and, like, the prelude of the universe or whatnot, like, you start to see some patterns that are a little difficult to ignore. So that's kind of my take on things. I don't necessarily think the stories of the three games will overlap at any one time, so I don't really want to, like, sit there and be like, oh yeah, March 7th is gonna show up in Genshin, and, like, Teyvat's gonna be a whole thing. Akavili's from here. Teyvat's actually Pagana. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and do that. But, like, mechanically speaking, from a much higher level, I think it's something worth keeping in mind. Wasn't Long a Leviathan? Never confirmed, but he's a dragon, and Leviathans are basically dragons. So, I mean, it's realistic to assume he was a Leviathan, but Ouroboros is also a Leviathan, so it's also kind of hard to say. Long was likely a Leviathan. Anyway, not the point, not the point. What are you doing down there? Levi. I know, but go eat your meat. You're such a baby. March absolutely should show up on Teyvat Photography Journey. I mean, that would be a fun crossover event, not gonna lie. When Fischl collabed in Honkai Impact 3, did she in any way reference Genshin, and was she aware she's in a different universe? That was okay, I don't remember a whole lot about that crossover event, but as far as I remember, it was like a non-canonical side story thing that was like part of a simulation or something. I forget. Yeah, I forget. It's been a long time since that collaboration, and I didn't pay much attention to it at the time. So, you know. Zhongli's Echo is a dragon tail, which makes me think we're getting closer to playable Sovereign with even more dragon features. I mean, maybe. The one good thing I will say about Genshin is because they've been able to keep things so simplistic in terms of like character design and kit designs in a lot of ways, especially as far as spectacle goes, if they ever do want to take it to the next level, they can start going for those bigger, kind of more insane transformation sort of builds. Like they've given themselves room to expand, which I think is good. But if I've ever wondered why Zhongli's story quests are not named after his constellation, but other Archons are, not really. I've seen a lot of theories about it, but it's not a topic that particularly interests me. I'm not exactly the biggest Zhongli lore enthusiast, as you might have known. or might have noticed, rather. He's a friend of mine, Crystal Marie, is kind of like digging hard into Zhongli's story, and so I'm more inclined to just watch her work her magic than I am to investigate it myself. And I really like where she's going with her whole investigation. I think it's really cool. And if true, I just think that would be really neat. But it's not my place to share it. Unless it's already... Did she post it? I can't remember. I know she posted part 1, but I don't remember what was in it compared to part 2 because I've read everything and they all kind of bleed together. I can go looking for it. Wait, Kaneko! Thank you for your super. Would you like them to put something like the Siberian Railway in Snezhnaya? Yes. I mean, if they can put the Aquabus in Fontaine, then we should definitely get some sort of train in Snezhnaya. Also, because I very selfishly want Genshin to put a little bit of the Metro games in Snezhnaya. Okay, if you guys aren't familiar with the Metro games, I'm talking about like Metro Exodus and that kind of stuff. They're kind of like zombie games. But it's a series of 3 games, if memory serves. Yeah, there's 3. And basically what happened is like there's this big nuclear fallout event and like the whole surface area in Russia is like completely uninhabitable. And so everyone retreats to the metro lines. So literally an entire civilization has been living in the metro lines for ages. And currency is bullets, and you have to like navigate these dark, tight, cramped tunnels to scavenge, and you have to fight off these horrible mutated monsters and everything. But by the 3rd game, there's actually like a whole thing about an overworld train that you're traveling across Russia, which is wild after the whole journey that you go through. And that's like the extent of what I'll say. But like the focus on trains in that game has me so enamored, and I've not seen it done very much in many of the games I've played. So I just think that would be really cool for them to do, especially if they want to keep doing multi-layered maps, giving us more environments above and below ground. So you have a snowy overworld, and then maybe you have like a more cozy, warmer, cave-like system of train tracks underground. It would be really fun. The game I'm talking about is Metro. I don't remember the name of the... I don't remember the name of the first game. I think it was just called Metro. Hold on. Oh no, it's Metro Last Light, and then what was the other one? What was the first one? Was the first one just called Metro? No, Metro 2033. So it was Metro 2033, and then Metro Last Light, and then Metro Exodus. Those are the 3 games. It's been a hot minute since I played these, but they're really good games if you like zombie shooters. Very claustrophobic for the first 2. I like how you guys remember the title and I don't. Did I read the books? I have not read the books. How do I gather my research for theories? It always comes from so many different and interesting myths, stories, and concepts. So curious how you find and organize that sort of thing. I have a brain that functions like a ball of wires. That's the best I can offer. Yeah. It's pulling threads, right? Like you look at a sweater, you see a loose thread and you pull it, and that leads to another thread, and then you pull that, and then you lead to another thread and you pull that, and suddenly you've got a whole sweater that's unraveled in 4 different colors. It's basically all it is. I don't know how to explain the whole process because like I'm so disconnected from my process. It's just a series of like chaining events. Like I'll see a reference to something in like, okay, say I'm looking at this tulpa here. I might be like, huh, what's a tulpa? So I might come over here and I type in tulpa, and I'll read about tulpas. It's a thought form. Well, what the hell is a thought form? And then you go over here and you start reeling about this book. And you're like, okay, has to do with Lucifer. That's interesting. We've got Theosophy. I don't know anything about Theosophy. Let's take a look at Theosophy. And then you start going down here. And as you start learning about all of these little things, you're going to start seeing other stuff like, who the heck was this lady? Was she important? Is she referenced? Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn? That sounds familiar. Wait, this symbol seems also familiar to me. And then you can actually just start like looking at actual sources. But like a lot of this starts as Wikipedia hopping, and then you dig deeper once you have like a surface level understanding of like some basic terms and like some really basic connections, and then you can start doing deeper reading as needed, obviously. I won't say that you always need to do a lot of deep reading, if only because like we're working with a video game here. So like sometimes the surface level is fine, but like, as you can see, it's pretty easy to get from Tulpa to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which we can then actually pretty easily connect to the Hexen Circle if we really want to. You can also connect it to My Little Pony. Okay, so Tulpamancy is actually kind of fascinating as a thing, but I digress. Yeah, so it basically just functions like that. It's a lot of hopping until you start to find things, and then like a lot of the challenge is just there are two primary challenges when researching. The first one is remembering the things that'll actually matter, and remembering the terms. That can be some of the trickier pieces, especially if you're not familiar with them, and if you're working in a religion or language that you're not familiar with. Like, I struggled at first with a lot of the Mayan and Aztec and other Nahua names when going into Natlan stuff because, yep, I'm just not familiar with the language as much, and so it's harder to keep track of them, especially since I'm a little dyslexic, so sometimes I'll read the names wrong and then I'll remember them wrong. Like, I don't know if you guys remember this, but like, for the longest time I was calling Herodotus, and I didn't even know that was wrong because the letters just jumbled to me, and that's Greek. Like, that's not even that unfamiliar to me. So as you can imagine, that can get a little bit tricky. But the other part is knowing when to stop. And that's the hardest part, I think, because like, if you really want to, like, you can scope creep theory research basically indefinitely. So you kind of have to decide where the stopping point will be. And that's the harder part. Fell Knight Gaming, thanks for the super. Oh my god, My Little Pony Genshin would break the internet. That's what we get when Kaya gets his horses back. My Little Ponies. That name as Spanish speaker always sounds weird in English videos. Yeah, and like, the pronunciation is really, really tricky, but even just reading it can be tricky if you're not familiar with it. And you get better as you get more familiar, but like, obviously the musculature of my mouth is not going to be able to pronounce things as well as it should if I can't straight up hear and practice copying the words from someone who's actually saying them correctly. Like, the best I can do is you can get there's a couple of like online phonetic readers where you can take the phonetic version of the names of something or terms or whatever, and you can copy and paste those into a little reader, and then you can pick a different voice or different accents or whatever, and they will read out the phonetic spelling to you. But even that isn't perfect. So phonics aren't musculature, it's skill. No, it's a combination of both. Like, when we talk about muscle memory, we're also talking about the muscle memory of your mouth, right? Like, part of the reason, like, I even have, I don't like to think of myself as having an accent, but I definitely have an accent. I don't know what kind of accent it is, but there's an accent there. Like, the way I'm talking and the way I cut off certain words and the way I don't cut off other ones, the way I roll R's or don't roll R's, or, you know, like, I'll even just if someone says tomato or tomato, like, those sorts of things, it's not even just about like The way your mouth is shaped makes you say things differently. It's like all of the pieces of you and how you remember the means to make sounds is built into you. Like you have a physical record of that in your system. You know what I mean? So the way I talk is built into my musculature. And if I want to learn a different way to talk, I have to retrain my muscles to do it. So yes, it is in some ways an issue of skill, but in other ways, it is an issue of retraining your muscles and your body to be able to actually do it. And if you don't have a good training partner to do that with, then you're going to have a really hard time. Do people unironically say tomato? Yeah. Tomato sauce is something you'll hear quite a bit. Yeah, regional accents, that kind of thing. Okay. That was a needlessly pointless rant. We still haven't talked about Lantern, right? Oh my God. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna figure out. I actually went looking for a way to turn off super chats in YouTube, and I couldn't friggin' find one, which makes sense to me because why would YouTube want you to be able to turn off your revenue stream? Like, I get it, because this technically earns them money too. They're not going to just let you turn it off. But like at the same time, it annoys me because I sometimes just want to like put supers in slow mode. Anyway. Razorclaw 99. Well, 999. Thank you once again for your super. You know that yoga should be done on the floor or not sitting on a chair. Yoga can be done anywhere. Yeah, but I prefer yoga on the floor, but I prefer like shifting positions all the time, like every 20 minutes. And so I have a really big chair. Like I actually have I have a small armchair with long legs like a regular chair, and then I've put those on office chair wheels. So I have an armchair on office chair wheels, 4 legs that I wheel around as my desk chair, and it's cushioned, it's padded, and it's got like a whole curved back to it. So I can actually sit cross-legged comfortably in this chair within the arms. And I will shift positions all the time, which is what gets me in trouble with Levi because he sits under my chair. And if I want to shift position, I have to push myself out from the desk a little bit. And then I have to get up and move legs and then push myself back in. And I always roll over him. And it's not even my fault. It's his fault. Silly puppy. Don't worry, he's not under my chair right now. He's not down there. Exhaustion, thanks again for your super. Hashikai is Rhine daughter, loves dogs, albedo, and smart. Well, I don't know about the last one, but the first 2 are right. I can sure fake being smart. That's a skill. Life is all just about exuding confidence. If you speak confidently, people will take you seriously. Sometimes you're actually smart about something. Sometimes you're not. Like when I went to put my door handle on and then I tried to shut my door after I had gotten all the screws in and everything. And I was like, wait, why isn't this shutting? And then I realized I put the handle on upside down. And it was on the outside where the door frame is. And I was like, oh, well then, I guess that's just how it is now. No, I had to take it off, put it back on again. But, you know, that wasn't very smart. Evernon, thank you again for your super. So all demon gods have a shard of the primordial one in the form of their names, which allows them authority. And I think the dragon takes this to gain Pyro instead of the Gnosis, which isn't on her. Oh, you're talking about the Pyro from the Dragon Sovereign? I'm not sure about that, but I think what you're probably referencing is in like the trailer at the beginning. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, this thing about Capitano never sleeping reminded me of those who dream of dreaming. It makes me wonder if Conrians by nature were never sleeping and therefore can't dream. Do 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 do. Yeah, that's definitely Sea Lolly's quest. I know he talks. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure it has much to do with her. Yeah, I'm not sure it has much to do with her or the Gnosis, honestly. I'm also not sure that the... whatchamacallums. I'm also not sure that the Gnosis can be leveraged by the Abyss. I'm not sure. I'm also not sure that the primordial ones' names are the fragments of them, but we'll see. As far as I know, that wasn't confirmed anywhere yet. And... yeah. Yeah. The voice of the dragon in the trailer is almost the same as Xbalanque in Japanese. No, that would be interesting. Can I explain? Please explain the thing I mentioned about the Stellaron predating Nanook? No. This is not a Star Rail stream. Not that I've done a Star Rail stream, come to think of it. I should probably do that. Didn't they say the Abyss monster is imitating the Pyro Sovereign? Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, the whole thing in here was about talking about how the Abyss copies things and how different little pieces of the Abyss can copy little different pieces of memories of Teyvat. And then they were saying, oh, well, if these little tiny papillae can mimic these sorts of crazy monsters, then what kind of monsters could the heart of the Abyss mimic? And it's like, oh, well, it can mimic a whole ass sovereign. So, I mean, this isn't the real Pyro Sovereign. It's an Abyss mimic of one. It would be very interesting if the fire sword wasn't anything to do with Mavuika, though. If it was Xbalanque in the flaming part of the sword, that would be kind of cool. I think that'd be really cool, actually. Guys, stop sending me supers. I'm never going to end stream at this point. I say that and I turn the window and then Blue Cat's just like not stopping with the super chats. Why you taunt me? Oh, love your videos. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you too, even if you send me super cat, blue cat, rude cat. Not actually a rude cat. Thank you for your super. I appreciate it, but stop. Yold, thank you for your super as well. Any thoughts on Columbina with knowledge we now have of more Seely's angels existing and if she could still be one? I think it's always been possible that she could be one. And even if she's not like a Seely, like it's easy to see that she could be the descendant of a Seely, right? Like she could easily be like a Jinn. I'm not saying she is a Jinn, but like, you know, Jinn were born from Seelys. So I think it's reasonable to assume that she could be another, she could be one of the, a descendant of a Seely that's like a Jinn, but not descended from the goddess of flowers. You know what I mean. But yeah, I definitely think it's plausible that she's, if not a Seely herself, then very Seely adjacent. It would just make sense. I think it'd be confusing if not. You know, I was thinking about this. Now that they're coming out and saying all this stuff about the Abyss mimicking things. Sorry, I'm going off topic for a second. Yeah. So I was wondering if the Abyss likes to mimic things so much, and this is like a symbol of the Abyss. I've also just noticed that all of these are cut on one side, which means that they are one line short of being Mavuika's G-shaped spirally earrings, which is also fascinating. But every time that these things transform into a different mimic shape, they you know, spam this symbol, this triquetra. And I keep thinking of Paimon, and I'm just like, well, is it possible that Paimon is an abyssal mimic and doesn't know it? And that's why she's immune to abyss-related stuff? Because that would be kind of fun if Paimon was dead. It would also explain her halo. Because, you know, angels and also dead people often are depicted with halos. Anyway, sobering thought. I know. You thought Nicole was an angel because of the Wolfie story? Yeah, she still can be. And why she's pasty white? Yeah, I mean, could be. What about the chasm scene? I mean, the thing is okay. Paimon seems like if she is a mimicked thing, she could be a perfect mimic. You know what I mean? Like she could be like I do think she's completely unaware of the fact if she is one, right? And I feel like she could have a very small physical form that maybe adds some limitations to her, so to speak. So like in the chasm, yes, time affects her differently, but time in the chasm is just like the perception of time. She wasn't like getting sick from abyssal corruption, right? Like when we went to go see Erminzel and had to pass through that realm of consciousness on the Sea Fairy, she wasn't affected by that. She doesn't have those sorts of problems. What about Columbina? I don't know why it's difficult to make Columbina and Nicole both Seelys or Seely adjacent. Like I feel like both are plausible. Why Genshin didn't explain anything about Paimon? Well, because it's probably like a big plot point, you know? If they're withholding it from us for this long, then there's a plot related reason for it. Otherwise, they'd just tell us. Heck, they might even just tell us in an event if it really didn't matter. But in the same way that they keep saying, oh, well, we withheld the Pyro Traveler from you because there's a whole story reason for them gaining the power of Pyro, like, you know, it doesn't matter beyond, like, it's just a plot point. That's why they haven't told us anything. But we'll get it eventually. Like, I don't think they'll withhold it from us forever. They can't. They gotta tell us something at some point. Phil Knight Gaming, thanks for the super. Ashikai got sidetracked. News at 11. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Razor Claw 999, thank you once again for your super, but we love you so much we wait to keep you with us forever and ever. I see your dastardly plan. Your plan is to keep me trapped here with the power of supers, but it won't work. It won't. I actually don't have any power here, do I? Because I can't turn it off. I'm powerless to stop anything. I hate it. Damn it, YouTube. Curse you and your capitalistic practices. Idiot Akko, thank you for your super. I have a theory about Capitano having a similar condition as Auroron and will use this to sacrifice himself during the Abyss Dragon fight. Thoughts? Oh, now that'd be cool. Cause, hold on. Cause like, there's that whole thing where he does this thing, right? Like, maybe not exactly like Auroron, where he was, like, born with a broken soul or anything, but I could totally see him, like, collecting the souls of the departed Conrians within himself. So that he could bring them to the afterlife, effectively. I could totally see that. I could totally see that. I'm still mad that they didn't show us the name here. It's so mean. Especially since he says, one day I will deliver you to the place I promised. Because how else would he get them to follow him? Or maybe they're just existing down here. I don't know. Maybe he'll take them within himself and become a Wyab. And that's how he becomes a Lord of the Night. Then all of the Conrians join together and become a dreaming, half-dragony human thingy that rules the Night Kingdom and keeps Natlan safe. I think that's more than plausible. I wouldn't be surprised if they go that route, actually. Ever and on, thank you very much for your super. Fontaine Wings confirmed humans always desire a god. That is why the Primordial Sea's heart, General Egeria, was awarded a shard of the Primordial one. Yeah, but, yeah, but. I don't know that that was what the shard was. Yeah. Humans always desire a god. That is why the primordial seat's heart, Zord is the one who was first and gained both godhood and divine duty come lately. I'm not sure that the shard is a name, is the thing. I mean, it could be, but it's never confirmed that that's what it is. The only way you could... I guess you could make an argument that, like, when all of the shards of the primordial were set to devour each other, like that whole thing, you could assume that that's the Archon War, and therefore everyone who had a demon name is therefore someone who has a shard. But at the same time, it feels weird to say that. Like, I've always read the shard as more of like a fragment of their power instead, or a fragment of their divinity, not necessarily a name. But I don't know. It's possible. I just don't see it as confirmation. I guess the question is, at this point, what is divinity? Yeah. Nandan Sarker, thank you for your super. Ain't no way you stopping now. Yeah. I know. I can't tell if you guys like me or you just like to see me in turmoil. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's entertaining to see this. I don't know. Chris Tassan. I'm going to assume I said that right. I will pretend and feel better about it. Do you think Bennett will get more lore with Mer Javari? Plus quotes from his character story, and Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you too. Did you know? Never mind. I was gonna make a long pun, but it was gonna take some explaining, and it doesn't work when you don't write it down, so I'm not gonna do it. Will Bennett get more lore? Yeah, I mean, probably. Here, how do I put this in a way that won't make Bennett fans mad? I feel like Bennett will have about as much lore relevance when Mer Javari comes around as Lisa had Sumeru relevance when Sumeru came around. In other words, not that much. The reasoning is it's not really anything to do with his backstory or his importance or anything like that. It's just that, like, when I look at what they do with the Mondstadt characters, to me it feels like most of the characters in Mondstadt are meant to be allegorical references to other regions or events throughout the game. So it's almost like Mondstadt has one representative from every location in one way or another. You know what I mean? So Lisa would be the Sumeru representative, and then Kaya is the Conrian representative. Albedo is one for the Sinners, which is more of a faction rather than a region. Bennett would therefore be a representative of Natlan. And you can kind of like continue to work through the cast as you go that way. So I kind of feel like everyone in Mondstadt is both important and not important. It's just for different reasons. Like, I don't feel like they'll be plot relevant in Natlan, but I don't think that diminishes their importance overall, if that makes sense. Yeah. Chibi, I'm not thanking you for the super. I won't. I told you not to. You don't listen. You don't listen. What do you do with a moderator who doesn't listen? That was a serious question. I don't actually know. I don't actually know. Alcono, thank you for the super, which only says unlimited power and nothing else. That's ominous. And I'm going to be thinking about it for a hot... Oh, I missed one. Oh my god, okay. I'll be thinking about that for a hot minute. Ominous sort of thing. How did I miss this one? It's red. It's like the brightest color ever. Anyway... I'm gonna butcher your name. I'm sorry. You are tonight's chicken, as in I will carve the letters on my plate. Jason Gimenez? Thank you for your super chat. I'm sorry I missed it. It's brightly colored. I shouldn't have missed it. It's on me. Because of your post this morning, I started to read Kave's quest and ended up reading about New Zealand's legends and cultures. So yeah, I got you and I feel you. I'm assuming you're talking about the whole thing about like the referencing of the amphibians bridging between worlds. Let me know if I didn't interpret that correctly. I am assuming I got that right. But yeah, it's really interesting once you kind of like start digging into it. how they manage foreshadowing, because they never do like a one-to-one foreshadowing where everything is perfect, but they do such bizarre thematic foreshadowing that only ever really makes 100% sense in hindsight. Jibby, I paid $2 for that bit and it was worth it. I'm glad you got your money's worth, I guess. I knew it's pronounced like Jason. Oh no! See, I can't read. And is just, okay, Gimenez is okay. I got that one okay. Yes, I'm blaming you for me skipping 3 hours of work today. Oh no. Please don't report me to your boss. I don't want to be responsible for this. Oh, did Discord hit 1,000 members? Hot damn. That is celebratory status. Do you know where I could put fan art where you'd see it? Put it on a community post. Community posts get less engagement. And I have a much easier time keeping up with those comments than I do on videos, because oftentimes on videos people leave really, really long comments and they take a long time to get through. Creatrix Tiara, thanks for the super. Turn off super chat. YouTube Studio, earn supers, turn off. I don't think that button exists. I think that's a lie. I'll try it after the stream, and if it works, then you get bragging rights. But I don't have a turn off button. I don't have one. But I don't, what? All right, I don't believe you, so I'm gonna turn this off for a second. I'm gonna turn this off for a second, and I'm gonna go look and see, because I think that's not a thing. Yeah, I don't have an, oh, it's a toggle. It doesn't say turn off. It's a, oh, okay. So I'm just blind and it's terrible UI. I got it. Okay, I have a new superpower. Yeah. Yeah. Y'all thought I was crazy. Y'all thought you could pull one over on me. Yeah, I can turn you off now. I'm gonna start doing that. Unlimited power. Okay, I want to talk about Lantern Rite. Windine, thank you for the super. Here's some help for you. If you haven't gotten to it, by the time you see the super, please tell me your thoughts on the Lantern Rite. Thank you. Also, Idiot Alco, thank you for the 10 gifted. If you got, I didn't turn it off, Alcono. I mean, thank you for the super, but you just spent money testing something I didn't do. You guys are menaces. If you got a membership gifted to you, by the way, make sure you say thanks to the person who gifted it to you, and make sure to connect your account to Discord. We'll see you there. Okay, Lantern Rite. We're done talking about Natlan's Archon quest. I've said most of the stuff I wanted to say for it. Well, okay, actually, I got one more thing to say about this, because I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. When we fight the Lord of the Eroded Primal Fire, we're basically fighting an abyssal mimic of the Pyro Sovereign, right? Now, this should be like the heart of the abyss, right? But I don't think we're gonna actually destroy the heart of the abyss, because if we destroy the abyss now, there is no actual big, scary, dark presence that carries over into like the Conria arc. So the best we can do is drive them back for right now, right? Or do you guys think that this Heart of the Abyss isn't like the biggest, worst thing in the Abyss? That there's actually other things in there, and this is just like a prelude to it? It's not letting you become a member. Oh, of Discord? Okay, good. If you're trying to join the Discord after getting a membership, you might have to wait like an hour before it lets you. Like, it just takes a while for YouTube to register and then for Discord to, like, sync up with it. So it might take, like, an hour. But it will work. Bigger Abyss. Okay, so you guys think this one will go down and we'll get, like, a bigger one. What if it's a fragment of the Abyss? Yeah. I'm more on that side as well. The lung of the Abyss. This is the ventricle of the one chamber of the heart of the Abyss. Got the Reaper of the Abyss, but not the God of the Abyss. Oh, yeah, there is one other thing, though. I wanted to ask you guys, because you probably know this better than I do. Because I don't play in Chinese. So I don't recognize any of the voices in this teaser. And I couldn't tell you what any of them are. I wanted to ask, where is this one? Whose voice is this? And then the responder. Because I obviously don't know who they are. I don't recognize them. Should you team Nouvelette with Kazuha? Yeah, it's a really good team. It's really strong. The female voice at the end is Renova. Oh, Shriquaddle and Renova. That's an interesting one. The first one is the Abyss. The second is Renova. So if the Abyss is mimicking the Sovereign, then that voice is either the Sovereign or Xbalanque, who's like merged with the like, okay, so the one thing I want to point out about Xbalanque, like if you're hearing his voice in the Sovereign, which I can't comment on, like I can't have an opinion on because I don't know what they sound like in Chinese. Like I said, I've been playing in English, so I just straight up don't know. If that's true, like the history of Xbalanque and Shriquaddle is like at one point Xbalanque fought Shriquaddle and then they both fell to their supposed deaths, but Xbalanque was reborn from the heart of Shriquaddle. So if we see the flames in Shriquaddle, it's very possible that that's actually like Xbalanque there. And that would be why the voices are similar. So it's actually like the remnants of the dragon's form, but then the mind of Xbalanque is like what's left. Like that would make sense to me. Because then at that point it would be like that version of Shriquaddle was almost like an Exuvia, so to speak, if to use Zhonglin stuff. They became one. I'm not saying that they became one, but I think it's more likely that Shriquaddle was absorbed in some way into Xbalanque, or like he hid in there. One thing that Wahaklahun Ubakan says in Natlan is that the Pyro Sovereign faked their death, and we're pretty sure that he faked his death once early on, like towards the end of the Dragon War, as like, you know, an act of fake surrender, or, you know, just to get the celestial stuff to stop bothering him. But I also wonder if he might have faked it a second time, like if he made a deal with Xbalanque and then they like fake fought the same way Orobashi fought A. Like Orobashi staged that whole fight, right? Like he knew he was gonna die and everything. A was not aware, as far as we know, of this whole thing. But like that whole fight was staged. He set that up. on purpose, like to sacrifice himself. So I almost wonder if Shweekwaddle made a deal with Xbalanque and was like, hey, I'll give you XYZ if you do ABC, and then we'll make everyone think that, you know, this other thing happened instead. So then they like fake fought, and then everyone thought they died, and then when Shweekwaddle transfers power to Xbalanque, if that's what happened, then that would be like the whole rebirthing from the fires of his heart sort of thing. So it's possible that our Shweekwaddle, or our Hunahpu is Shweekwaddle. Yeah, that's possible too. It's definitely possible. Shweekwaddle was the combined form, I thought? Combined form of what? I don't know what the... Could it be a situation like the contract between Kinich and Ahau? Like maybe you can hear Shweekwaddle because he's inhabiting Xbalanque. Yeah, exactly. That's a better way to put it. Dragons love contracts. They love the crap out of contract. Like you go to Zhongli and he's like the god of contracts, and whether he is actually a dragon or not, he takes a draconic form. So like draconic associated contracts, then you go to Nouvelette, next dragon. Well, he has what? He's justice. It's all about laws, regulations, contracts, because laws are basically a social contract, right? Like you obey laws. Then you go over to Natlan and you've got Ahau. Ahau obeys a contract that he established with Kinich. And if you even go to Apep, she established a sort of contract with Deshret. You know, I'll lend you my knowledge or power or whatever in exchange for your body and accumulated knowledge when you die. Like, is that not the same thing over and over and over again? Right? Like contracts, 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 contracts. So like, it's very possible that Xbalanque established an Ahau Kinich style contract with Shweekwaddle. That'd be really interesting. Anyway, Serpent stuff was... I'm not saying it was staged. I'm saying there's a good chance that it was staged. Yeah. Anyway, I do need to move on to Lantern Rite, though. Goonie, thank you for the super chat. 4 months into Natlan, no mention of Vanessa, Murata, or even Decarabian's Mondstadt aristocracy colony in Natlan. Also, the voice in the trailer is probably Murata or something. I don't know. I was wondering if Mavuika was actually a descendant of Vanessa in some way. Or, like, from her thing. I don't think they retconned Vanessa because she's like in training cards and you know, other associated media and stuff like that. Like she's definitely like a presence. I also don't think they retconned her being from Natlan. I just wonder if that was ever relevant to the story of Natlan. Like I feel like if we figure out anything about Vanessa, it's gonna be like towards the end of Natlan. Because I do need to move on to Lantern Rite because we've been at this for a long time. Because like here's the thing. We're slowly expanding Natlan outwards, right? Like we've been to Natlan now. And the only other place that we know of that we have to go is the volcano, which is the Collective of Plenty, I think. I'm pretty sure. And then the Merjavari. But the thing is, there's like no other known locations that I'm aware of that we could go from. So if there was a 7th tribe or like a nomadic tribe or anything like that, like by the time we get to Merjavari, that should be the time when we would learn about Vanessa. That'd be my prediction. Anyway. Isn't Murata a mistranslation or a name holder from Mavuika? Yeah, like there's some weird translation stuff going on with it. I don't know how impactful or not impactful it is. It's kind of the thing. Mavuika confirmed she was from the Scions of the Canopy tribe. Yeah, I know, but like, what if she comes from the same bloodline as Vanessa? Like, what if Vanessa was also from the Scions of the Canopy, but like people who left like 1,000 years ago? Vanessa left Natlan over 1,000 years ago. Just for timeline context. So this would have been before the devastation in Natlan from the Cataclysm. Wait, what about the tribe exactly that left? I don't know what that question means. They imply that those who leave Natlan suffer cognitive problems. Yes, but as far as I know, that's only been the case since the Cataclysm. You know what's interesting? Actually, hold on. I think I understand what they're doing here. You know what I mentioned earlier? We were talking about the ball game. I was saying, like, I might have actually been onto something with the ball game, but like as it replacing the Rite of the Sacred Flame afterwards. I was looking at this. If this is Mavuika's story quest here, Janssen is here. Janssen is a sports trainer. I'm wondering if part of the reason why she's sort of been left out of the limelight is because she's going to be more part of the reconstruction efforts and building forth the new era of sports-based Rite of the Sacred Flame than before. I think that would be cool. Because, like, here she is. That would make a lot of sense. Because then, like, it would make sense going into the Collective of Plenty afterwards as, like, the last spot. Because, like, that is the final destination of Natlan. They're moving out of war and into an era of peace, which is more about sports and athleticism and the performance of it all. The Maratta thing is like definitely it's a mistranslation, but I don't think it was like a retconned one. I think it was like literally a misunderstanding on behalf of the translators of what was actually going on. Look, Sonny, you can hear the Project Stuja theme. Yeah, I know. I don't have any comment about what it would mean. Like, we don't know anything about Project Stuja beyond its name, really. And that Child's a part of it. That's it. That's all we know. But Child's not here. Right, we're done. We're done. We're done. We're gonna move on now. I want to talk about Lantern Rite. For the once, we're actually gonna go follow Hu Tao. That should be fun. If Hu Tao is depressed, it's gonna be really well, not depressed, but like if she's bothered, she's not gonna be very prankstery. I do like her outfit though. Her outfit's very nice. Shush, Jibby. I just realized her shirt is also Guoba. Do you see this? It's got little ears here, right? And then there's the little Guoba mouth part. That's really funny. I didn't notice that. That's actually kind of cute. It's that's a better angle, obviously. Look, it's a Guoba. He's right here. It's just so winter. So the comparison with Hu Tao's outfit with Child, and I can't unsee it. It's actually closer to Kabe's. because of the tassels. Can you give me some Razor lore? Because he's my main. The best I have is like a vague connection to Sino, and that's about it. Yeah, not a sweetheart neckline. It's a Gwolba neckline. The greatest of all fashion. It's interesting. Isn't this the first time that they've just done like an inanimate object for the main lantern? Because like it was Minogius last year, wasn't it? Or was that the year before? All the years blend together. I don't remember anything. I think it's cool there's butterflies here, though. That's definitely gonna be relevant to death and rebirth and resurrection. More like Yaksha lore. I was really disappointed in no Minogius lore. I would have wanted more. I thought they'd give us more, but it's okay. Oh yeah, that horse Adeptus. This appeared... Okay, I have a fun little miniature theory for you about this horse, actually. I was thinking about this. This horse actually appears in one of the new books you can buy about Chenyu Vale. And they're described as a horse. I was wondering if this actually isn't a horse, but a snake. Because hear me out. The way that this character is described in the book, they're described as like a noble white horse or whatever, but like everything else about them just screams Changsheng. And I was wondering if that might actually be who this is supposed to be and no one realizes it. Because a lot of the Liyue Adepti are described in rather poetic means where their traits are being described rather than their physical characteristics. For example, Shao was described as a bloodhound, even though he's a bird, because he was like, you know, the hunter of his former master, like a ruthless hunting dog. But he's a bird. So wouldn't that be really, really, really funny if this was just Changsheng? Anyway. Lanyan is cute. I'm curious what they'll do with her. One thing I think is cool, though, now that we've been to Natlan, the fact that they're drawing attention to the little runes that she puts on her bird reminds me now of phlogiston carving. You know, by instilling words with elemental energy, making things move and come to life and stuff like that. I think that's kind of neat. I wonder if that's actually something we'll get out of her story. And we did see a bit of that in the Perilous Trail quest in the Chasm with the thaumaturgy down there. I just didn't quite make the connection at the time because we didn't have that information. But looking at it now, thaumaturgy might be Liyue's version of phlogiston carving. I mean, it was mentioned in Chenyu Vale that a Snake Adeptus had healing abilities. Yes. Yes, exactly. It'll be interesting to see how an Animo Shielder works. I'm a little dubious of her thing. Because it's swirl-based. I feel like that might be kind of tricky to control. Like, because like her elemental absorption, elemental shields have like a 250% absorption rate increase or whatever for the element that they absorb. So I'm like, if you absorb the wrong element, you're going to have the wrong absorption rate. And I feel like that might really screw you over in some instances. So I'm very curious about how that's gonna work. What's my opinion on the current Spiral Abyss? I haven't done it. I haven't done it yet. I've been too busy with Zenless. Do you want to control it? It absorbs whatever element your opponent is using and shield better. No. It absorbs whatever element you swirl, not whatever element your opponent is using. If your opponent is like a Hydro Tulpa and it is always infused with Hydro, then you will always absorb Hydro and you'll be at an advantage. But like, what if you accidentally apply Hydro to a Fatui Pyro Gunner and now you have a Hydro shield and he's shooting you with Pyro bullets? Right? Like, you can really screw yourself over. I'm just saying. What's my opinion on ZZZ's Deadly Assault? I haven't done that either. Do I think Noelle foreshadows anything? I don't know, honestly. I haven't looked too deeply into Noelle, so I can't comment that much. Yeah, I know it's just a weaker shield. That's my point, though. Depending on her multipliers, like, you'll either have a really strong shield or a pretty weak shield. There's not going to be too much range in between. Chronicled Witch is fun and all. I don't really care so much about this or the rewards. Except that we can now buy Shao Lanterns. I'm excited about that. Many years later. Alright, I don't know where the rest of the actual story portion are, or if I just, like, skipped over it, which is entirely plausible. Let's just go back to the beginning of this one here. I think I only have, like, 3 Shao Lanterns. Okay, so I want to know 2 things. It said that during the Archon War period, there was a divine mountain in Liyue with a giant tree on its summit named Tao Dao. Tao Dao? I don't know. But as far as I know, this tree here that they're showing is the one from Hu Tao's story quest. I think, if memory serves. I'm pretty sure. But it also kind of looks like the one at the inn. Will it be connected to Lanyan's powers? I don't think so. And this is all Hu Tao. Like, I feel like this is going to be Irminsul lore. Like, I know we're probably going to meet, like, not meet. We're probably going to see, like, an actual tree in Liyue and all that other kind of stuff. But, like, here's the thing. If you committed grave sins in your life, your soul would be unable to pass beyond that tree and into the afterlife. Well, think about what happens to people in Teyvat, right? Like, when they die, they go back into the ley lines. And according to Hu Tao, like, they're supposed to pass into the afterlife, right? And then the people who are denied from entering Irminsul's ley lines are, like, hilichurls, sinners, ones who have created a grave sin. So this feels like great Irminsul lore here. Not that this tree here is specifically Irminsul, but, you know. No Varka yet, right? No. Oh, I thought that... Okay, can we also talk about how this tree is, like, literally on fire here? And in Sumeru, we saw Dottore lighting Irminsul on fire and never saw what went down with that. Do you think they're gonna, like, re-foreshadow an event? Do you think they're gonna do that? Or do you think this is just fun because Hu Tao wants to be an arsonist sometimes? I see Chiori over here, and Xinyan, and Sino, and Tignari. Let's see if I can see anybody else. They have shown that idol 3 times. This one's interesting too, because like she's also burning that tree, but like that tree is, what do you call it? Hold on. I'll show you guys something. Let's see. I think it's around here-ish. Yeah. She's doing funeral rites here, but like I can't help but notice it's similar. Yeah, butterflies as guides for the dead. We know that because of her. But then, like... Come on. Keep going back. Shao, you're killing me. Whoa. Okay, maybe I wait a little bit more. This, yeah. It's not the same, but I was looking at this and wondering if that's actually what she's burning here. Because, like, it's a similar shape in the opposite direction. Yeah. Yeah, like it's obviously in a different space and it's a different altar, but like they're still very similar. Similar funeral pyres. Same thing with the Homa, same with her praying. I just think that's interesting. We're actually going to see her perform a sort of funeral rite. I am very excited about that. Because I felt like Hu Tao's story quest gave us such a weird amount of lore that never got expanded upon. Is Hu Tao possessed? I don't think so. However, I mean, you say that, but I mean, this is full of something. She's got a little doll of herself that's full of some kind of blue something. Fire in this case is usually a cleansing fire. It's one that's usually meant to cleanse the soul and body as so you can prepare for your next life, for reincarnation. Yeah. I don't know if she's possessed. I kind of doubt it. I do think it's interesting that we're looking at the blue and the flames again. The teal and flames. Same as the Natlan fire. I see why you say she might be possessed because of this shot, right? Oh, if you know what? I wonder if she's gonna do like some self-immolation. As in like she's gonna set herself on fire. Because you're right, if she is possessed, it's possible that like actually the doll could have been possessed. And that maybe she is doing what, you know, you guys thought. Someone pitched it. I forget who it was now. The whole Ororon thing where they were going to put like souls in his body and then send him into the Night Kingdom so that all the souls could go down there. But then like maybe Capitano was going to do the same thing and take all the souls in his body and then take them to the afterlife. Well, it's quite possible that Hu Tao is going to do something different and take all these spirits and ghosts and then take them into her body, and then cleanse them with fire by setting herself on fire. Because in this scene, she's on fire. Homa-esque stuff. Yeah, it's Homa. I mean, yes, it's an aura, but it's a fire aura. I mean, it would be pretty on point. I don't think she'll die, obviously. They're not going to kill her off in an event, but like, the very next shot, like you see, the very next shot of her, I should say, is exactly that. This is her being a bit more on fire. We've got obfuscating. And then the tree itself, the lantern, actually sets on fire. And then you have her little altar going boom, boom, boom. For a big cleansing rainbow fire. See it all? I'm telling you, she's gonna set herself on fire. Cleanse the ghosties. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a good story for Lantern Rite. And also a good closure for Natlan at the same time, because it's kind of like cleaning up the aftermath of a lot of death. You're dealing with the dead now. Not death, but the dead. It's very different. Just remembered the whole Gaming Dad situation in Cloud Retainer and Shenhe in the restaurant very fondly. Last year's Lantern Rite was still pretty good. I thought it was funny. But, like, they try to tie Lantern Rite into whatever it is going on elsewhere in the game. Like, whatever's current. Like, it's not typically meant to foreshadow things, as far as I can tell. But, like, if we've just finished Natlan and we're gonna be, you know, dealing with the aftermath of a lot of death, then having Lantern Rite deal with the dead makes a lot of sense to me. Anyway, I got behind. Razorclaw, thank you for your super. Boreas451, thank you for your super as well. Hope to see more regional crossover events. I've been dying for Yoimiya to have some involvement with the Lantern Rite fireworks. Yeah, what's up with that? One year, they absolutely need to invite Yoimiya to Liyue and also Klee, because that would be really funny. I loved watching Yoimiya and Klee in that Iridori event on Inazuma. I thought that was adorable. And then having both of them be pyrotechnics. That'd be so cute. I would love that. White Kaneko, thank you for the super. There's a tree in Taoism. I'm assuming that's what you are referring to with the Tao Do. I'm going to assume that's how you say that. In fact, I'm going to look it up. Just to see. I don't want the Tao. Or the Dao. I know I'm not supposed to pronounce the... Okay. Either I can't spell, which is common, or Google don't got me. I think Google don't got me. Yeah, I don't think it's autoimmune. I don't think it's an autoimmune disorder. I'm sure there's something else that this is referencing that we could probably find if we went and looked. But I'm kind of pooped. Dough. Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Maybe in English there's another spelling for it that's more common. I know they say it in the first 3 seconds of the trailer, but I don't have headphones on. Also, I just wanted to look up and see if I could see the tree, but I don't see it. I wanted to see if I could find it. But I'm assuming that there must be a different name that it tends to go by in English. When was the Venti and Zhongli Lantern Red again? Was that year 3? It was the year before last. I think. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we've covered everything. I think that was everything I wanted to share for the most part. Because we talked about the animated short. We talked about motorcycles and frogs and Simulanka and all sorts of stuff. Something I mentioned on Discord and nowhere else. Actually, I had to do a seat lolly. When I was watching this trailer for her, or this teaser, it occurred to me that, like, since she's axolotl based, you know, she definitely has a different lifespan considering, like, compared to all the other Natlanese. So I was wondering if, like, one of the reasons that she was so enamored with light novels, especially romance light novels and stuff, had to do with the fact that, like, it's something she feels like she can never have because she'll outlive anyone who gets super close to her. So maybe that kind of relationship is out of reach. Because, like, that happens a lot, right? Like, it's sometimes fiction can be used as a surrogate for something that you either desperately want and can't have, or something that you're too afraid to go out and seize for yourself. Holiolup's post about Seat Lolly had a mysterious 7th page about that? It did? Huh. How do you think she lived so long? I don't know, but I suspect that her really strong connection to the Night Kingdom might impart her with some sort of knowledge about the perception of time and how she moves through it. Because it does say that she has the pursuit of how to conquer time as, like, one of her goals. So I do wonder if that's part of it. Yeah. Her and Baiju should swap notes. Yeah. This is also interesting. Someone else pointed this out on Discord that, like, the fact that she's in this white robe here is very Archon-like, which I find interesting. Because all the Archons are depicted in these white hooded robes. Maybe she froze her biological age, pun intended, but then I remembered Chi-Chi. Yeah. Even Focalor? I'm pretty sure Focalor does. Oh, Cryo Archon. That is kind of interesting, actually, if you put it that way. Love, romance, light novels, Cryo Archon. Yeah, because, like, a lot of people think that the Cryo Archon is the Archon of love. I think she's the Archon of mercy, which is a little different, but debatable. But if she was an allegory in some way for the next Archon, that would be very interesting. Like the robes are wearing on the statues. Yeah, the ones they're wearing on the statues is 7. Siegewen wears one too in her story quest, All Ordered Life. Hers was a raincoat, wasn't it? I don't think Seatlolly is an Archon, by the way. I don't think that's the case. It's more like if she was, then she'd be like a retired Archon from Natlan. I don't think she'd be Snezhnaya's. That'd be really weird. How old is she? She's at least 200. So she's already different from Farazan, because like Farazan isn't an issue of like aging differently. Farazan actually got trapped in like a time warp. Like she almost like she got trapped in a room where time kind of stopped moving or moved differently from the space around her. So like she's still like in her 20s. She just jumped 100 years into the future. So she'll still age at like a normal rate. Seatlolly won't. That's kind of the difference. Why did Deshret have a time room? Deshret liked to mess with the fundamental aspects of... He liked to mess with the laws of the world. Because remember, the Eternal Oasis is a place where time has completely stopped. Nothing moves there. And you can freely rewind and fast forward time as you please. Did you spend that 100 years in some room puzzle? Yeah, exactly. But she was trapped in a room. Like, the room... She didn't age. Like, the 100 years that passed around her. Like, she should age normally now. You have never seen Seatlolly's ears? No, they're right there. Look. Seatlolly has normal ears. I'm sorry to say. But she does. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. There they are. See him? See him? She's got ears. Yep. She got ears. She ain't no lizard. Well, I mean, she's definitely based on an axolotl. I don't think she's, like, literally one. No. Seatlolly doesn't age at the same rate as everybody else. Faruzan ages at the same rate as everyone else. That's what I was saying. Do you think they'll explain why Teyvat is so weird? Yeah, we're getting there. So Faruzan was in the timey-wimey room and got out 100 years later, thinking it had only been like a few hours at most. Yeah. It's true, axolotls aren't reptiles, but like they are lizard-like. You know. I survived in a ruined room for 100 years, not clickbait emotional. I know they're not lizards, but like if you put them and a salamander side by side, like they would look similar enough that you would kind of assume they're related. Not saying that they are actually related. I get that. But yeah, I think that was my last thing. That was the only other thing I had to say, I think. We've talked about Durin and Seatlolly and Mavuika's bike and Renova and Shriquaddle, the Abyss. Yeah. So if we cut Seatlolly, will we get 2 Seatlolly? I don't think it works like that. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna. Yep. Oh no, I lost my place. Where'd you go? Ah, I'm alone in a room thinking to myself, go away, AI chat summary. You're not my friend. I mean, one of her puppets is called Seatlalin, isn't it? Seatlalin? I'm not quite sure how the English is going to go on that. What about the Xbox and Pyro Wing lore? I already made a whole video on the Xbox lore. I don't know what more you want from me on that, but I didn't really have anything to say about the Pyro Wing lore. Nothing really stood out to me about it that was, like, groundbreaking. that I couldn't point to something else. You know. This is still the funniest picture. It's just so funny. After doing the Ochka Natlan world quest, what are your thoughts on the possibility of Klee and Alice being dragon-coded? Decent. Decent. I would put it, I'm gonna put it at a 50-50. But the reasoning is complicated. But I am still leaning more towards Seelie Alice than I am Dragon Alice. Yeah. Its Papa is a reference to an Aztec deity. Oh, I did not spell that right. Yeah. This one. Yep. Which checks out, I think. Does that mean Puccinella is also a Seelie? I mean, maybe. Is everything in Natlan named after religious figures? I have news for you about, like, 90% of this game, if that's a surprise. It's a papa! That's Fontaine. The obsidian thing here probably has to do more with, like, obsidian mirrors and stuff, too. Like, I know that there's, like, a whole lot of lore about this goddess. She's pretty, she's got a pretty robust story. But the obsidian thing, I think, was probably picked for Citlali because of the obsidian mirrors that they used for scrying in the Nightwind. Yeah. Boreas 451, thank you for the super. Do you think Nodcry could be a province of Snezhnaya, like the province of Canada, or maybe how Russia sold Alaska to America? Yeah, it seems like it's like a semi-sovereign nation. I would say it's probably more like Puerto Rico is to America than it is Alaska. Alaska is part of America. It's like an actual state. But the way they talked about Nodcry, it seemed like it was more like a territory of Snezhnaya, in the same way that the Puerto Rico is a territory of the U.S. Not quite a state, but not totally unrelated. That's kind of more what it sounds like to me. Anyway, I really think that's all I got. That's all I got. I keep saying that, but yeah. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I posted my latest iteration of my video schedule up on my community notes if you want to see what's coming. I'm gonna try and get you guys a video done in time for maintenance for Genshin. We'll see how it goes. I'm optimistic, but we'll see. Last time I barely missed it. Slow internet got me with the rendering and the upload time. I'm also gonna be doing a live stream with Azriel Vanity over on his channel. I'm going to be joining him for Fairy Radio, which is his like a collaborative Zenless Zone Zero live stream program thing. So we're going to be talking about Zenless stuff over there. If you play and you finished the latest chapter, you should definitely come over and do that. Well, I'll post date details as we get closer. I think it's this Saturday. I forgot what time, though. I'll post it on my community posts as well. And other than that, I've got at least one Star Rail video in the pipeline, and then at least two, well, yeah, there's 2 Genshin videos I'm definitely doing at the start of next patch. We'll see how far I get. And that's about it. That's about it. So yeah, thank you all for showing up. Thanks for having fun dissecting all this stuff with me. I'm sorry I was a little late. At least I'm partly sorry, but I'm also kind of a little glad I was so busy, because then I wouldn't have had a lot of this stuff to go through that came out between the live stream and now. So yeah, we'll see if I end up pulling from Mavuika. I wasn't going to, but then someone pointed out that if I get her, Wanderer could have 3 halos if he has Rite and Mavuika on his team. And that sounds really fun, because if I get a 4th halo, then he becomes the Avatar. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thanks for being here. Happy New Year's, happy holidays, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Where's my puppy?